And here we are, starting 2 minutes late. But here we are, still. Anthony Fantano here, Livethany Stream Tano. Everyone, it is time for our bi-weekly Q&A live stream where I field your questions, your queries, and I hit you back with a rapid fire response. Chow. And that's basically what's going to happen. That's basically what we do. That's our bi-weekly thing. Caro Benito, yeah, the review's out. Caro Benito, a review is out. Do I like the doors? Yes, the doors are cool. The doors are fine. I didn't hear the Trench leak. I'm not going to spoil the Trench album. I'm just going to wait for the record to be out, and then I'm going to review it after it's out. Kendrick and Anderson, yes, the track review is out. It's on the second channel. Yandhi album of the year. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it's probably not. Let's get that straight. Do I feel the same way about Remo Drive? I don't know what you're asking. Can you be my dad? I need a father figure. I'm sorry. I cannot be anyone's dad. No, I'm not going to be anybody's dad. So don't worry about that. Don't think about that. Don't worry about that. Did I like the new Denzel Curry album? I did like the new Denzel Curry album. I have a review of it out. Have I ever heard of NF or thought of reviewing him? Yes, I have heard his music. Personally, I just find it to be a little too preachy and obnoxious, but that's just me. I don't really care for that style of wordy, overly emotional hip hop. It just really doesn't do much for me, to be honest. But whatever. I mean, I'm glad you like it, but I'm not into it at all. I just am not. Ow! Shaving the stash soon. Future facial hair plans. Did I hear Halsey's new release today without me? I did not hear the Halsey. My thoughts on it will most likely pop up in the weekly track roundup this weekend. I will probably cut the mustache off soon. It's probably not going to last too much longer. No future facial hair plans because a mustache is really the only thing I can do. I suck. I absolutely suck at growing a beard. And I'm not going to grow a soul patch. So we'll probably grow another mustache at some point again next year. But no other future facial hair plans. Victoria, thank you. Hey, Anthony, since Halloween is coming up, it would be cool if you did a horrorcore starter pack. Ooh, maybe. Or maybe a horror punk starter pack. Every Misfits album ever. Would you check out my band Feelings Club? We drop an album tonight. I can save this recommendation. And by the way, I didn't get through the recommendations in the last live stream, but I still do have them saved. Sometimes it does take me a while to get to them. I was a little swamped this week. I had a live talk over in New Jersey that I had to do and went pretty well. So shout out to the College of New Jersey. I love you, says Cam. I love you too. Thank you. That's very nice of you. Have you heard / enjoy less known members of G59, including Germ and Ramirez? Maybe in passing, but I haven't really seeked out their solo project. So I can't really say. Again, I guess I would have to just sort of like dive into their stuff. I mean, are they sort of like, do they sound like Suicide Boys and kind of just what I would typically expect from that group, from that label? Or are they a little different? Do they have their own style? I'm not really sure. I'm not familiar. But I would have to sort of seek out their own solo stuff. Have I ever heard the post-hardcore band Movements? They're on Warped Tour this year. Maybe, but their sound isn't coming up to the top of my head. Griffin. Thoughts on Reason's new album, TDE's new signee. Thoughts on Mac Miller's memorial concert. I think the idea of a memorial concert is good, so I'm happy that they're doing it. But Reason, I have not listened to that project yet. But I'm sure I'll probably... let me... Reason... TDE... choose between Splendor in Misery, Atrocity Exhibition, and No Love Deep Web. Probably Atrocity Exhibition, my favorite out of those three. You helped me deal with my dental issues. Well, I hope so, but that should really be your dentist doing that. Fraus, thank you. Pally the Poet, with Kamikaze being out for a month now, has your opinion on it changed at all? How do you feel the album could have been better? I think Eminem could have just put together better hooks and just been less complainy. But no, my thoughts on it haven't really changed. Have I listened to the new Masego album, Lady Lady? I did hear the new Anderson .Paak. I have a track review out for it on the Fantano channel, youtube.com/Fantano. And you can check out the track review there. Hey, Melon, thanks for all your work. What would you have given Modest Mouse's Good News for people who love bad news? At least an 8. It's a great record. It's a very good record. What are your top 10 Queens of the Stone Age songs? I don't know that Captain Falcon off the top of my head. Out of the whole Queen's discography, I don't know it off the top of my head, Captain Falcon. But still, you know. You can always hit me up on Twitter and maybe ask another question or something. But off the top of my head, I have no idea. Maybe that's something Anthony@theneedledrop.com I can email you about or something. Is the Minecraft Volume Alpha review an actual future plan? I'm not sure. Maybe. Kind of maybe thinking about it. I don't really have a 1-minute synopsis off the top of my head. I mean, unless you just want me to say that I think it's a beautiful ambient record. Basically everything I said in my Let's Argue would be kind of my 1-minute synopsis. Hey, Melon, I bought your jar and still haven't gotten it. Please get at me. Yes, Anthony@theneedledrop.com. That is my email address. Please do email me if you have not gotten it yet, and I will make sure that you get your tracking number and get it to you. There were 10 or 12 jars that had sort of slipped through the cracks for me. I ended up sending them out last week. If you're somebody who is out of the country and that was one of yours, then that might explain exactly why it hasn't gotten to you yet. But still, email me. Clean Dirt, any chance you will review Foxing's new album? It's sort of on my sort of maybe review list still. I guess we will see. I haven't listened through the entire thing yet, but it did sound like a nice change of pace, and it seemed like they were drifting away from some of the crummy post-rockisms of the last record. So reviewing Keys Christ 2, not familiar with that artist, but I can see what's up. And, Get Over Here. Thank you. I've been into some girl indie rock like Soccer Mommy and Japanese Breakfast. I need a recommendation, please. Have you, listened to Snail Mail or Mitski, maybe? Phoebe Bridgers. Maybe you'd be into that. Try going there. Ow! Xavier Cosme. I won't stop donating you $50 until you review the May EP 3.0 on Spotify, if not at least the single 5 Light Years. Love your thoughts. Can't make any review promises or anything until I actually hear the artist that you're talking about, which I have not yet. So I will just say that recommendation and just kind of see what's up when I eventually get to sifting through the recommendations that people are typically making during the live streams. But thank you very much for your generosity and supporting the channel. Now that it's been a few months, what did I think about the tour life? If you went back on tour, what would you do different? Gave you the Descendants vinyl. Thank you very much, man. What would I do differently? Well, the next tour is definitely going to be a little bit shorter. I have a better idea as to how to sort of plan a bit more for merch. Obviously, the next show will be changed up a little bit in terms of segments and everything. But for the most part, I think the tour went incredibly well. But it did give me a lot of insight into sort of the stresses that a lot of artists out there who might have to tour for months and months on end might be kind of dealing with any given day. And for people who have to sort of do that all the time, I envy them. And if people are sort of saying they're stressed out on the road and miserable on the road, I definitely sympathize with that, because it can certainly take a lot out of you. So, if some of your favorite artists are saying that they're not very happy touring or unhappy on the road, do understand it's not just like a fucking nonstop party. It's there are a lot of fucked up and annoying elements to the whole thing, especially if you're a band who a lot of people don't know, a lot of people don't respect, and you're kind of trying to get your name out there, and people are stepping all over you and disrespecting you and not really kind of giving you guys the fair treatment that you deserve, or even sometimes the money you deserve. So again, it can be a tough life if that's what you got to do, gig to make the ends meet. Moving on from there, are there any artists you would consider to be God tier in their respective genre? For me, it's Dr. Dre and Jack White. I guess I could say Bob Dylan is God tier in the folkosphere. That's certainly an example that I would use. DJ October, what's up, dude? Hey, Melon. Ow! Just wanted to say it's my birthday today, and I got an EP full done in ambient goodness. Coming out at the end of the month. Would love it if you checked it out. All right, well, I will go to your channel, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll hang around till the end of the month, I suppose, and just kind of see what's up. Ow! A crashing hypothesis. Slickly Shades, Tana, hope you're well. I'm doing okay. I had a shit day today, but I'm doing all right. Going off of the Minecraft music comments in the latest Let's Argue, what's your favorite Super Smash Brothers soundtrack? And would any of them be classic out of 10, all the best? I'm not sure if I would say any of them are a classic because I feel like the Smash Bros soundtrack is just way too all over the place stylistically, at least the latest one. But the first two are pretty solid, I guess. I've never really loved Super Smash Brothers for its entire soundtrack, though there are some songs like, you know, the intro. You know, shit like that. Like the most iconic and epic battle songs in the soundtrack are pretty great. So, you know, the soundtrack does have some good tracks. Where would I place KSG and Ye if I redid a Kanye West worst to best video? I would say KSG would probably be definitely around College Dropout and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, maybe over Dark Twisted Fantasy at this point for me. And Ye would probably be around Graduation, I think. Green Day worst to best. Also, what Green Day worst to best? The first couple of albums are the best, and the latest ones have been the worst. It's pretty much my worst to best, and all the ones that fall in between are just somewhere in between. Also, what am I hoping to hear from Trench? I hope it's just a little bit more thoughtful and a bit darker and a bit edgier, I guess. Which, I mean, you know, obviously you can take edginess overboard and make terrible music, but I think I think 21 Pilots needs a touch of edge. Hey, Melon, I have two questions, if that's fine. What do I think of Steve Lacy and his demo tape? Also, what is your favorite hip-hop album of all time? Don't know if I have a favorite one of all time, but as far as like some of the old school stuff, probably like Paul's Boutique or A Nation of Millions. But Steve Lacy's demo tape I thought was cool. You know, it was all right. I mean, he's definitely a cool like one-man band. He's got some good grooves, and it's really cool that he sort of takes a technologically cutting-edge DIY approach to kind of making and recording his music, which I think is pretty refreshing. Can I review your EP? I don't know. It depends on whether or not your EP is interesting to me and if I feel like it's worth talking about, because I'm not just going to grab some random unknown artist EP to just kind of give it a hugely negative review for an audience of people who aren't that interested anyway. But if I think your EP is interesting, then there's potentially, you know, it can be done, I guess. But again, it would depend on me giving it a listen and sort of seeing what's up with it and whether or not I want to say anything about it. Have I heard the new Soft Moon album? I haven't, but I've never really been into the Soft Moon, and I've heard at least 3 of their albums so far, and they seem kind of like the sort of band that never really will change their sound or make a record that I'm all that interested in. And not to say that they don't make some pretty cool spacey post-punky rock music, but to me it mostly feels like pastiche, honestly. But if you dig it, then keep on digging it. Screamthany Spook Tana, I'm glad you enjoyed TCNJ, so come back soon. I missed it. Are you going to NYCC? If so, what days? No plans on that right now. But I'm sad that you missed that. What brand of flannels do I wear? Love you, by the way. I don't know what the brands are, but every flannel that I have is of a different brand. I don't collect a single brand of flannel. There's not a certain brand or store that I go to for all my flannels. If I find a flannel that I like, then I just kind of pick it up, and it could be at maybe Marshall's or the mall or something like that. It's not like there's some kind of deep web flannel store that I go to for exclusive flannel deals. Am I morally obliged to feel guilty for working in the oil and gas industry, thus directly contributing to climate change? I mean, I personally would, but I feel like that's up to you. Germ has some really nice catchy flows, and Ramirez some incredibly aggressive bangers. They both have solid solo projects out as well. Okay. All right. Thank you, Alec. How am I feeling about the new Clarence Clarity album? I haven't listened to it yet, honestly, because I've been trying to catch up with some other things. But I am planning on reviewing it, so do look out for the review. I'm hoping to drop it in the next week. Hey, Anthony, what do I think of Dive? Ocean is one of my favorites. I mean, I've reviewed Ocean. I didn't really care for it all that much, but I liked the following album a lot better. I thought it was a bit more experimental and adventurous, though. I haven't really heard much from Dive lately, and I'm kind of wondering if a new album is going to come out soon or if ever, honestly. Hey, Melon. I'm a FSU student excited for October 25th. Yes, that is true. I'm going to FSU on October 25th, Florida State University. Why are you keeping it secret, though, with no announcement? Seminoles love you. Anyways, well, I don't know as of right now, and I have to ask whether or not the event is open to the entire campus. Again, I'd have to ask, or not open to the entire campus, but open to the public. And if it is not open to the public, I don't typically tend to be like, hey, everybody, blah, 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 because I typically just expect on-campus people to promote the show. But if it is open to the public, then, I'll probably do a formal announcement on social media or something like that. But if everybody can't go, then I don't typically tell everybody. Has my opinion on Iridescence changed at all since I reviewed it? Not really, honestly, but I still like the album. I don't love it, but I still like it. Hey, Melon. Hey, Captain. I recently fell in love with your vids. Love to watch you review my favorite albums. I would like to ask you to review bands like Polyphia, even if they have no lyrics. Also, Coheed album. Not a Coheed guy. I will say that right now. Never liked Coheed. Probably never will like Coheed. Even their best records, I've just always found to be really kind of grating as far as that like amped, proggy, emo type of fusion. I've always been much more of a at the drive-in type of guy. Coheed, especially with the vocals, I just could never really get into. But I'll have to check out Polyphia and see what's up with them. Thoughts on Chevelle, if you're familiar. Yes, I remember Chevelle being popular back in the day, but I'd never really cared for them, honestly. I never really thought they were... They didn't rank for me, and I didn't really think they were that interesting of a band. And which is funny because around the time I had some pretty shitty tastes in bands. Being a nu metal head and everything, but Chevelle never really ranked for me. Never thought they were that interesting. Review my terrible punk bands EP Disbelief if it's interesting to you. Hope your days get better. And remember, you are very much appreciated. Yeah, I know. I love you guys. I love that you love what I do, and I love doing what I do. Honestly, right now, many of the funks that I'm in really has nothing to do with work or music or anything that you guys are doing or anything that I'm doing in relation to the needle drop. So, don't worry about that. What do I think about the film High Fidelity? I think it's okay. It's a cool cult classic, and I feel like almost as a music nerd, you're kind of obliged to like it, but I don't know. I'm not as interested in the story as much as I am just, the funny references and stuff. As far as like music nerd shit. Hey, Anthony, I know everyone asks you about albums, but I have to ask you if you've heard the new album from Metric called Art of Doubt. I have not heard it yet. It is sort of on my to listen to list, but I have not sort of made formal plans to review it as of right now. Hey, Melon, am I hyped for Anderson .Paak? Hell yes, I am hyped for that shit. What do I want from his new album? I just want more great synth funk bangers, honestly. Can I name a few alternative psych rock albums similar to OK Computer? Honestly, I don't really think I can. I don't think there are a whole lot of bands and albums out there like OK Computer and Radiohead. I think they're kind of a one of a kind band and experience. Expectations for Chance and Kanye collab album. Favorite ska band / album. Probably one of my favorite ska bands and albums. Probably the Specials debut. Also a Choking Victims debut. Those are both excellent ska records. And also go back to the source. Go to Trojan Records and listen to some of the old school shit. Hey, Fantano, I promise you this will be the last time I ask you about this, but did I manage to check out the Hirasawa guy? I remember sending you a list of albums that were easy to find on YouTube. Did you email them to me? Did I respond to you? Just email me. You don't have to send another request like this. Anthony@theneedledrop.com. Email it on over, and I will, email some links over, and I can just get to it directly. Ow! Modern Warfare 657. Hey, Nothony Plantano. I just wanted to say that Marquee Moon is one of the greatest albums of all time, and if Trials of Van Occupanther came out today, it would be an instant classic in the indie scene. I mean, maybe you're right about that, but Marquee Moon is a really excellent fucking record, and probably worthy of a classic review at this point. I should probably try to make that happen. Hey, Anthony, what are your thoughts on Fishman's and George Clanton's side projects, seeing that you like Slide? I thought the side projects were okay. Definitely not as compelling as his solo stuff. And Fishman's is some pretty intriguing, spacey, experimental electronic music. I can dig it. I fucks with it. What up, pimp? Have I ever played the Perfect Dark for N64? I think it's... God, maybe. You just really gave me a blast from the past. I mean, I remember Nintendo 64. The games I played the most were Conker's Bad Fur Day, GoldenEye, Mario 64, Mario Kart, Road Rash. I can't remember any other ones off the top of my head, but I don't remember playing Perfect Dark, but I might have. But I can't recall. And a lot of fighting games, too. Also a lot of fighting games. Smash Brothers. Thoughts on Suge Knight's Instagram post saying that Tupac is alive? Holy shit, I have not looked into that. I will have to look into that and see what's up. Hey, Melon, am I familiar with Phony People? Am I planning on reviewing their album? Vaguely, but I have not. I'm not familiar with them having an album out later, so I guess I'll just have to give it a shot and see what's up. Oh, man, I don't want to miss any of these. Got that? Ow! You should check out White Line Darko. It's a psych project with an experimental edge. Just released debut record on all major platforms. Love you. Okay. I'll save that. And also, since reviewing BTS, you have been flooded with requests to explore more Korean music / international artists. Have I been flooded with? I wouldn't say it's a flood. No, not really. I mean, every once in a while. I mean, there were definitely a lot of people asking me to review the repackaged BTS record with like some more tracks on it and everything. I didn't end up getting around to it. But I wouldn't say it's a flood, but still, ow! And thank you. But still, no, I wouldn't call it a flood. I think the most recent sort of Korean artist people have been asking me to talk about is Midair Thief. And I'm planning on covering that record in the next, It Came From Bandcamp. It's pretty decent. It just kind of feels like in a way, like a Grizzly Bear album, but with more experimental electronics woven in. It's decent. Would Pink Floyd have been better had Syd Barrett not developed schizophrenia? Do I think his influence on, The Wall Wish You Were Here and Dark Side of the Moon would have kept Floyd in underground psych band? Yeah, I think he probably would have led to the band being a little bit more inaccessible and experimental, but I don't know. My wife says all the time, everything happens for a reason. And I don't know if I believe in that, but it just kind of feels appropriate here, It just feels appropriate here, I guess. I guess Pink Floyd's career ended up the way that it did because it did. There's a million different scenarios that could have taken place had things went down a different way. But I could say definitively that he probably would have pushed the band into a more experimental direction. Chevelle was a Deftones ripoff. I also want to remind you again that Splinter by the Sneaker Pimps is a sleepy genre classic. Also read some Georges Louis Borges. It will blow your mind. Okay, all right, and it's I love the screen name. I can appreciate that. Sleepy music classic, huh? Sleepy music classic. Also, some Nightmares on Wax. That's some good sleepy down-tempo music. Hi, Melon. Someone with your shirt saw someone with your shirt at Head in the Clouds. How much of a responsibility does a creator have to please their fans in balance with staying true to what they would like to produce? Yeah, I would say it's definitely a balance. Like, I have to try to basically cover what I think is going to pay the bills / what is demanded of me, but also cover week to week things that I love and I care about and I enjoy. And I feel like that used to be more separate or more difficult decision back in the day, but these days I feel like those Venn diagrams overlap more than ever. I think the only record in the coming days that I have to review that I'm really not looking forward to reviewing at all is probably the new Greta Van Fleet album. I mean, if it's good and it surprises me, it does. But as of right now, yeah, I'm not really looking forward to it all that much. Who is my favorite YouTube critic other than myself? Mike Seatown, bitch. It's Mike Seatown. Captain Falcon, I know you haven't watched any anime from this decade, so I want to try to recommend some. Where can I obtain this anime? Is it on the Netflix? Can I Netflix and chill with it? See, here's the thing. I don't even know where people are getting most of their anime. If somebody could tell me where you go to get your animes, then it would probably increase the amount of anime that I watch. But as of right now, I have no idea where the fuck people go to even watch their anime. So I guess where are you even seeing this anime? That's what I want to know. Where do you see the animes? And then maybe I'll jump in there. I'll make my own choices. I need animes. Crunchyroll is that like Netflix but for animes? Do I got to sign up for that shit? Hope I'm doing well today. Hope you're doing well today. Seemed like something was amiss a few weeks back, or you were having a rough time. Love ya, and hope that things started to look up. Thanks for being cool, Taco Man. Yeah, things are okay. Things are doing better. I was in a funk over some personal stuff, and sometimes I just wish I could disappear. So, happy October, Jack the Neo-Lantern. No. Favorite spooky Halloween movies / spooky records. I mean, really anything Misfits and, I don't know, probably Hobgoblins or Killer Clowns from Outer Space or Halloween or Freddy, Friday the 13th, that type of shit. All that like really extreme, like campy, shitty 90s horror and like 80s and 90s horror stuff like Hellraiser, that kind of shit. I mean, that's kind of what I grew up around, and that's still kind of my shit. Who's your favorite musician you reviewed and met in real life, and why? Also, you still editing on Final Cut or no? Yes, I am editing on Final Cut X. I mean, I've met some musicians who I've reviewed pretty positively. Kendrick, Death Grips. I've met Michael Gira. I mean, really the only artists who I haven't met who I've given a 10 to are Cudi and Kanye. And maybe that'll happen one day. And meeting each of them was chill. It was chill meetings all around. What other video game soundtracks would I say are incredible? I personally recommend the Celeste and Transistor OSTs if I haven't heard them. I mean, my golden days of gaming are pretty much like Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, Donkey Kong Country, frickin' all the Zelda soundtracks, Metroid. So, I mean, those are some of my favorite and most nostalgic game soundtracks. But some recent ones like the Minecraft and also Cuphead are fucking incredible. Got that. Given their more underground / meme status, what do I think the actual long-term legacy of Death Grips will be? I think they'll just maintain their cult status, honestly. And that's kind of easy to foresee and predict because bands that get famous off of and sort of make a living off their cult statuses typically end up just leading a life of having a cult status. I mean, the only way I foresee that changing is if like, I don't know, 30 years down the road, Death Grips has like a Velvet Underground moment where there's just like this awakening and it's like, oh my God, this amazing fucking band. But I don't know if that's going to happen. But I think, they're definitely going to continue to have influence in the underground for sure. Though I think the fans potentially could prevent that from happening, because no doubt anybody who sort of comes through and is like trying to build off of Death Grip's sound. I mean, even artists who aren't building off their sound and are just making experimental hip hop these days, the fans just like chase them down. They're like, "You're fucking just ripping off Death Grips. You're fucking ripping off Death Grips," which is kind of a dick thing to do. Haven't heard your thoughts on Big Ear Pac. Is Ready to Die a 10? Me Against the World. I wouldn't say Me Against the World is a 10. I think Ready to Die is certainly close to a 10, if not a 10. But I think both artists were great in their own right and 90s hip hop icons, and rap music wouldn't be what it is today if not for them. Black metal similar to Barashashka. Honestly, I'm not even familiar enough with those two artists to even make recommendations of another band that sounds like that. But I would try my best to either hit up Rate Your Music or Last.fm or Bandcamp to try to find some similar artists, either in a certain style, genre, tag a reviewer who recommends other stuff. I would do that. Top 5 Tom Waits albums. I don't know, probably like Bone Machine and Rain Dogs and Mule Variations. Real Gone is probably a personal favorite, so I would throw that in there too. Blood Money, maybe. I don't know. That's just off the top of my head. Just Married by Glockamora is the best new emo revival album of the 2010s. Agree with me now. I can't say, honestly. And I don't know. I mean, since I got turned on to it in a previous live stream, I've been on a little bit of an appreciation binge of Brave Little Abacus, because for an emo group, pretty cutting edge. Would I consider any Bling era hip hop album to be a classic? I would say the Carter 3. Sure, the Carter 3, much of what Jay-Z came out with around that time, much of what Kanye came out with around that time, Cameron, Diplomats, that whole shit. I think there's some good Bling era classics, for sure. You must watch most from what I mentioned on Hulu, okay, or Funimation, but Devilman Crybaby is a Netflix original. It should be noted that Funimation has simuldub, which is a good thing. Okay, thank you, Captain Falcon. Hopefully I find some time to do that. Love you, Fantano. Wait, let me save that. Oh, love you, Fantano. Help let me know what to think. Nah, but really, I love your videos, and you've put me on so many artists. Much love, Melon. I don't know why I couldn't read that, but I really could not. But thank you, some guy. Wait, let me pop on that. Hey, Melon, have I listened to Joey Badass's 1999? If so, what are my thoughts on it? Also, could you tell us about your tattoos? I cannot tell you about my tattoos. That's personal. I apologize for that. But I have heard 1999. I think it's overall a good tape. I reviewed it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. I do think there are some snoozer tracks on it, but the song with Capital Steez is fucking amazing. Joey's energy on the tape is pretty great. And for a boom bap revival project, it's really good. Mr. Mellon, from an artist's perspective, what is more beneficial for making objectively good music, being creative, original, unique, or appeasing, familiar, and recognizable? If Post didn't make pop, would it be better? Okay, well, I'm going to say making objectively good music. Look, I'll say this. Generally, appeasing, familiar, and recognizable are very quick, direct, and short-term appeals. If you're trying to be somebody who is going to have a long-term career, though your chances of appealing to more people is small, because it's a bit more of a crapshoot, because not only does the music have to be good, but the audience has to be kind of receptive to it, the former. but if you can sort of manage to strike gold with that, you're probably going to have a more long-running career. Have I not reviewed the new project from Logic yet? Yes, I have not, but I still am planning on doing it. Just give me some time. Hey, Melon, you should check out the EP OK Dis Hard by Off the Cuff if you like music that goes doink in the whip. I'm really tired of bumping in the whip, so maybe I'll try some doinking in the whip. Do I think MF Doom can ever make another classic record? Honestly, I don't think he can, because I don't think he really cares to. I personally don't really think the will for him to make another classic record is there. I don't really think he cares enough to make another classic record. And not to say that I think he doesn't care about art, but I think he might personally feel like he's proven himself. He doesn't have anything to prove at this point. Incredibly influential, one-of-a-kind artist. And I don't really think any number of bad or subpar albums past this point is going to change that. And so I think I think the incentive for him to come out with another classic record isn't necessarily there. And plus, I think he's been around for so long and has so many hardcore fans that they kind of expect something at this point, for him to have a certain sound, be in a certain style. And I think the need for him to take a risk and change it up in order to make something new, cutting edge and refreshing. I don't know if he's so interested in doing that, or even some of his most hardcore fans who might demand that he not change at all would want that. So, Anthony, any interest in reviewing the album Philosophy of the World by the band The Shags? That is a bit of a meme. Maybe one day, though that day is probably not anywhere in the near future. Hey Fantano, love you and you videos. What would you review each of Daft Punk's albums out of 10? Discovery, Homework, Human After All. Discovery I would give probably a 10. Homework at least an 8. Human After All is kind of a mixed bag, kind of a mess. I would give it probably a 5 at the very least. At the least, that's kind of like the floor of it. Like it could be a 6. It probably could be. Opinion of Mariah Carey as an artist and singer. Would I consider listening to her new record once released? I don't know if I'm going to be really all that interested in the new Mariah Carey record, to be completely honest. That being said, though, she is an incredible and a one-of-a-kind singer. But like many singers of her stature, I don't so much see her as an artistic voice as much as I do, just somebody who is just a really great vocalist. You know what I mean? Because a bulk of her material over the years has just kind of been, and this is the same for many other artists who are kind of her status. You grab a producer, you get some songwriters, you get in the studio, and you just kind of work out a bunch of hit songs for the radio. And that's just kind of is what it is. And again, and that's not any sort of detriment to her as a singer or a pop star, because that's how lots of people used to do it over the years. People wrote songs for Elvis, people wrote songs for Frank Sinatra, people wrote songs for, whoever. But still, as a vocalist, which she primarily is, and that's how she's made her living, she's great. Those high notes are orgasmic. Have I listened to the new Reason album? I haven't. I quite like it. Also, 2 questions are okay. Have I heard the new Tom York stuff from the soundtrack? The upcoming soundtrack. I have not yet. Reason. Let me just look that up and familiarize myself with that. Okay, I was trying this a little bit earlier. Somebody said, there you have it. I just thought, so far I thought it was okay. I might give it another shot, but it felt a little awkward so far. Like the flows were kind of growly and grumbly, but, didn't really kind of have a strong kind of momentum to them. But I haven't heard that soundtrack yet. I just have not. Dude, can you just say my name on your live stream, por favor? Joseph Hughes. Your name is Joseph Hughes. I've said your name. Wait, got that. Hey, Anthony, 19-year-old trying to embark on a music career as a successful YouTuber yourself. What recommendations do you have for building an online following? Are local scenes still important? I don't know if the locals, it depends on what your local scene is. If you're in LA, if you're in New York City, then I would say, yeah, the local scene is probably important. If your local scene is, I don't know, Portland, Maine, it's probably not as important. But still, that being said, I think generally your online following is going to be more important because that's mostly what labels look at these days, whether or not you have an online buzz, not whether or not you were able to get like 30 people to come out to the local bar. But as far as like recommendations, get your music on every platform so people can hear it. Every streaming platform, use DistroKid. Every place like YouTube, SoundCloud, so on and so forth, where people can stream your shit for free, get it on there too. And work on your songcraft. Come out with singles. If nobody is listening to you make 3 minutes of music, don't try to shove 30 minutes of music down their throat. Work on your singles, work on your soundcraft, put out single after single after single after single until you catch an audience. And come out with some music videos too, because people are visual. People are visual. Think about how your music is presented in a visual fashion online. Don't just come out with a great song, record a great album, and then just like put some shitty fucking, iPhone picture as your front cover. Think about visually how you want your music to be presented. Find an artist, find an illustrator, hit up a videographer. What's up, Best Teeth? Oh, wait, hold on. Ow! From New Zealand, and one of my friend's favorite bands from here is Fat Freddy's Drop. Their best album, in my opinion, is based on a true story. Big fan, and missing that is the plan. Have a night day. I miss it too. And I will try to give Fat Freddy's Drop a listen. That is an interesting name. Why don't I review MGK anymore? Quick review of his recent Binge EP. I haven't even heard the EP. And at this point, I just think MGK is... I just think there are other things out there worth talking about. I feel like MGK is just not worth talking about. He's not doing anything of interest. His music isn't good. It's not influencing the culture in any kind of way. I just don't see any reason to talk much about his music personally. I think there are other artists out there worth talking about instead. I'd rather review Caro Benito. I'd rather review Logic. I'd rather review artists who are actually making music that is thoughtful, worth talking about, or is making ripples in music culture at large in some kind of way. So, sorry, nothing personal against MGK. I just don't think the music he makes is all that interesting. And I think I think Eminem iced him anyway. So, are you familiar with Joe Purdy or the Felice Brothers? Two amazing, authentic folk artists, in my opinion. Felice Brothers vaguely. Joe Purdy, I don't think as much. No, I don't think at all. I mixed him up with somebody named Roy Purdy in my head. Felice Brothers, but yes, vaguely. But I'll have to save this and check out Purdy later, who, again, not familiar with his solo stuff. The best rapper in New England is... Oh, I don't know. New England doesn't count New York. I mean, I guess you could say probably, I don't know, maybe Apathy or something. I don't know. Am I into film at all like I am into music? No. I'm a film noob. I don't know fucking shit about films. Are there any movies that really mean a lot to you or have had some kind of impact on you? Love the channel. I mean, there was a point in high school and college when I was really obsessed with just like drug movies and stuff. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas was probably my favorite. But I've never really been a film buff to the point where I'm like obsessed with the technical aspects and everything. With that stuff, I'm very much a layman and clueless. Review Bright Eyes, Fevers and Mirrors, and Grimes Halfaxa. I mean, if I was going to review some Bright Eyes, I'd probably review Lifted first. Not so much sure about diving into Fevers and Mirrors before that. Brandon, but thank you. Have I heard about the sexual allegations against the drummer Ori from Sigur Rós? How do I believe this could affect their music and the future of the band? I find it all extremely disheartening. Yeah, it is disheartening, and I did see that I believe the band also kicked him out now as a result of all of it. So I don't know if they like looked into it and they saw that it was the case and so on and so forth. So I imagine that the allegations and the band's efforts to try to dive into them must have been substantial if they're like kicking him out of the band so quickly. That being said, though, I'm not really familiar with how much his influence sort of weighed in the overall process of the band's sound. You know what I mean? So I can't really say with any surety, like, how is this going to change the band's sound at this point? I mean, I've enjoyed quite a few of the records, but I wouldn't say like necessarily the drumming is like my favorite thing about what the band does. So, and again, I guess not to artistically discount his contributions to past records, but I don't know. To me, it sounds like something that the band could come back from, at this point. So you're depressed. Why haven't you listened to Can't Maintain or Knife Man? Certified, yeah, that's true. Good suggestion. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll listen to Knife Man or Can't Maintain. Ow! Thank you for turning me on to Smith & Wesson's Da Shinin' and Black Mirror's Enter the Stage. Those are two great records. Everyone, take fucking notice. If you have not heard either of those albums, do yourself a favor and listen to those records. Old school hip hop classics. You heard either of the new Smith & Wesson tracks on their Tiny Desk. I shared the Tiny Desk. I didn't listen to it. I heard one of the singles. I thought it was okay. I think there's potential for a good album with Ninth on board. Yes, I would agree. With Ninth producing, I think absolutely yes. Am I going to review the new Logic album? I am thinking about it. Yes, I do most likely plan on doing it. So, you guys just got to give me time. I feel like after doing the Wayne record and doing the very lengthy Lupe album, I just needed a bit of a breather, review an ambient record, review a short little Caro Bonito pop record, that sort of thing. But now I feel like I've gotten that out of my system. I can go to the Logic record with a fresh head and a fresh mindset and give it a listen. Give it I guess a more sensible headspace. Why to fuck haven't we gotten Nardwuar to investigate the Brett Kavanaugh case? That dude could find the truth in 5 minutes or less. By the way, I agree. He should be the first to receive immortality. It is true. If we do discover scientifically immortality, Nardwuar should be the first to get it. And no, it is true. He would absolutely find the truth. Nardwuar should actually just be a prosecutor. Nardwuar should just become a prosecutor. He would find out everything and anything about the defendant. Hi, Tnd Q&A. It's me again. I'm hyped for this new Joji album, as am I. The album cover is hilarious and the singles are good. Any thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I think he's making vocal improvements. Production sounds better, so I'm looking forward to it. If he was coming out with stuff just like with the In Tongues EP, I'd already be bored to death, but it seems like he's trying a little bit better vocally and instrumentally, so I'm looking forward to it. Whether or not it works as an entire album remains to be seen, but we'll get there. Melon, can we be friends? Can we share secret Last FMs? I do not use Last FM at all, so not even a secret one. And I'm sorry, I have no friends. No, I have a policy against friends, and it's that no friends. So, so I'm sorry. It's nothing personal against you. We just can't be friends. Review them York Suspira soundtrack. Maybe I might, talk about it on the Fantano channel sort of casually or something. Is it out already? Let me, I might do a quick talk about it like I did the posthumous Prince album or something. Have I heard the new album Quarter Thing by Joey Perp? Yes. I don't really think it's all that good, though. I think a lot of the record is very much it just kind of seems like he went against everything that made Eye Drop so good. Like lyrically, it doesn't seem as interesting. The song structure and the hooks seem kind of weak. The production is sort of quirky and out there and over the top. But I don't know, in my opinion, it kind of seems like a less interesting version of Injury Reserve, to be completely honest, which is funny because a lot of people don't really see Injury Reserve as having that much influence or having that much impact. But to me, it just sounds like a boring Injury Reserve record. Hold up. You met Kendrick. Have you told that story before? And if you didn't, can you give that story now? I have told that story before. Just quickly, I met him at South by Southwest. This is even before Good Kid, Mad City came out. And it was after I tried to see him live several times at South by, but he kept not showing up to his scheduled performances. And I think the second or third time I tried to see him, I just like fucking left after waiting a half an hour to see him or something. And I was just fucking pissed. And I stormed out of the back of the venue, and I was with my wife, girlfriend at the time. And I was just like, fuck this. You know, why the fuck can't this guy show up for a performance? And then like it be from behind me, I just heard, need a drop. Section 80 review. And then I turned around, and then it's fucking him with a camera guy. And then like the camera guy took a few pictures. I've never seen those pictures, and he just met me. And at the time I didn't have much to say because I was just like mad I couldn't see him perform. But he was telling me, oh man, with this next record, I'm really going to challenge you, and so on and so forth. Keep in mind, he's talking about Good Kid, Mad City. So he really hyped the album up. And it's funny just how much he said about that record at the time. Just, you know, it's going to be a big album. It's going to be, you know, it's going to make you think, and so on and so forth. All of that panned out to be true. And, you know, it was cool. You know, at the time I was not starstruck. I was just mad. But in retrospect, it's like, oh man, that was so cool. Not only to meet him, but also that he just basically told me that Good Kid, Mad City was going to be so great. And again, this is before we even knew what the title of the album was going to be, heard the first track from it. So I didn't know what the hell he was talking about with the next record. You know, of course, maybe the next record could have been good, but I had no conception of what Good Kid would even be. So do I think since it's been a long time since we have heard a new Tool record, that once it comes out, that it would be disappointing? I don't know. You know, I don't think so necessarily. I don't think it's necessarily the case, because I think Tool has a pretty timeless and unique sound where you can't really pinpoint it to. So, I mean, if Tool comes out with a new record, it's not necessarily going to sound dated. You know what I mean? And they have so few albums anyway, and each album really is kind of seeing the band reinventing themselves. But I am a little worried, I guess, because the new Perfect Circle record I thought kind of stunk. So I don't know. But I don't think the album will necessarily be disappointing because they waited a while to put it out, though. I'll say that much. Love the Sun Kill Moon. Love Sun Kill Moon's last 3 albums. Where do I go from here? Mark's output is insane, and I'm not sure where to go. I would go to the early Red House Painters stuff, honestly. Whoever sent this in, thank you. I've seen you post about / interact with rapper Spose on Twitter a few times. Have I checked out much of his work? A few tracks, but I don't really have any strong opinions on the guy. But we do seem like really chill on Twitter, so maybe I'll just continue maintaining our Twitter relationship. I don't recall him ever like literally like asking me or like begging me to review his stuff. So I don't know. Maybe he's just like a chill guy and he's just being chill. And maybe I should just like check out his shit just to like be cool back, because he's been a pretty cool guy on the internet. Burial Untrue Classic Review, please. It is a good suggestion. I will not deny that, and I am potentially considering it. Ow, Victoria, thank you. Am I watching Shane Dawson's new series? Do I have any favorite channels, influencers you watch daily? Sending you love, thank you. I do love Comment Etiquette. I do like ContraPoint's videos recently. Her video on incels I thought was hilarious. But recently, and really always, most of the YouTube channels that I watch are political YouTube, you know, whether it be like David Pakman Show, Secular Talk, Progressive Voice, Majority Report. Those are most of the channels that I watch, because I just try not to watch too much news on the TV because it's just trash. I just try, you know, I'm just like watching a lot of news on YouTube and stuff. And though I do watch some of the mainstream networks, YouTube channels, if they do have videos up on topics that interest me. But that's a lot of what I watch on YouTube. But I have watched a few episodes of the new Shane Dawson. I didn't quite get it because, I mean, I guess one, I don't really care about Jake Paul all that much. But number two, I feel like it was sort of painting Jake Paul as like this deep, multi-layered character who we're diving into the mind of. And no doubt Jake Paul is like kind of a dick, kind of clueless, maybe a little bit of a bully. But I don't think Jake Paul has the depth to truly be evil. I just think he's a dumb kid with way too much money, way too much attention, way too much free time on his hands. And he's making the same dumb decisions that I think most people his age would had they been thrust into the spotlight in the way that he has been. So I don't really see the whole point in doing multiple, almost hour-length videos, again, diving into his life and mind, because personally, I haven't seen anything that would lead me to any other conclusion that Jake Paul is about as deep as a cereal bowl. You know, there's nothing to really dive into. And I feel like you're almost like trying to fool yourself into thinking that there's anything to be discovered in combing over every video, every vlog, every this, every that. What are his parents like? So on and so forth. Again, dumb kid with ill prepared to deal with what the position that he's been put into, with parents who had no ability to prepare him for that situation either. And as a result, he just kind of looks dumb. But thankfully, looking dumb is his business model. So, you know, he doesn't have to look smart in order to make money and be successful. He can just continue looking dumb. So, but those are my thoughts. I don't know if you mentioned this but that being said though, Shane is a cool guy. No ill will toward Shane. You know, Shane does seem like a really cool, honest YouTuber. He's one of the old school guys who honestly these days, I don't look at him and I'm like, that is an asshole. And there are a lot of YouTubers who I feel that way about, but, you know, Shane, he seems like a really nice dude. So, all the respect in the world to Shane, but I personally don't have an interest in the kind of series he's making, no matter who was making it, whether it's him or fucking, you know, some kind of fucking Nightline journalist or something. I don't know if you mentioned this in your review, was in the middle of it when I noticed the stream, but Sarah from Caro Caro Bonito fucks with Melt Banana heavy. Thought you ought to know. I did not mention that in my review, but that is a really great bit of info and certainly could reflect on the noise pop influences on the new record. And that's cool. And given that she is into underground music and that she's a native Japanese speaker and everything, the fact that she's into Melt Banana doesn't surprise me at all. And though I didn't know that information, I probably could have assumed that if I actually thought about it. Mate, I saw your tweet. How do you not like apple pie? I just don't really like fruit pie in general. Nothing against apple pie, but I'm not really a fruit pie guy. Not my thing. Really more of like a chocolate cake kind of dude. Please review these artists who recently dropped some amazing projects. All right, I'll say that, Reco. Tayshawn, thank you. And thank me later. I have heard Sir, don't care for Sir. I'll have to check out the Masigo, and I am interested in Lion Babe. I've heard of the City Girls, but I haven't really gotten into their stuff, but I have no idea who Lion Babe is, so maybe that's really good. Do I believe in grower albums, for example? I was 100% with you on your 6 out of 10 for Young Father's Cocoa Sugar review, but after many listens, it became one of my favorite albums of the year. I do think there are grower albums, but I think generally I try to listen to an album enough for it to grow on me. You know what I mean? Not every record I give a positive review to, honestly, like knocks my fucking socks off the first moment I listen to it. And not every record that I give a negative review to, do I think is necessarily bad on the first listen. But maybe after repeated listens and kind of understanding how one-dimensional maybe the record is, I'm just like, ugh, there's like really nothing to this. But I think grower albums are a thing. You know, there's certainly been points in my life where I've changed my mind on records, but I can't say that Young Father's album is an example. But if it grows on you, then it grows on you. Hey, Anthony, after the Let's Argue where you said you loved the Minecraft soundtrack, I wanted to know if you listened to his new album Excursions, if so, thoughts. Yes, he actually thanked me, and I'm talking about C418. He actually thanked me on Twitter for the shout out, and I went and I checked out his new album right away. And it seemed like a kind of interesting mix of ambient music and house. You know, didn't like knock my socks off or anything, but I thought it was decent. Maybe a little overly long for like, you know, a single album, but it didn't sound bad. And sampling some of the other stuff he's done on Apple Music, he seems like a pretty versatile guy. Hello, Yummy Melon. Am I listening to Think Peace? No, I'm not listening to Think Peace. I'm doing a live stream, but I will eventually listen to Think Peace. But you have to give me some time because right now I'm doing a live stream. So, hey, Anthony, thank you for reviewing Richard Dawson's Peasant last year. That is an excellent folk album if you guys have not heard it. He became one of my favorite artists. Am I going to review his new... okay, he's in like another group. in November. Okay. I'll have to check that out. Thank you for the recommendation. I wasn't aware of his extracurriculars. Following up, do I like Philip DeFranco for some news and things you watch? Not personally. I feel like Phil, he does cover a lot of stories, and I do think his delivery is really good, which is why he's been as relevant for as long as he has, that he's been. But I do feel like a lot of his opinions personally come off like a little wishy-washy to me. Like he tries to land on the middle of so many issues for like no reason whatsoever. Which I do find a little obnoxious sometimes. And keep in mind, take that with a grain of salt, because you're talking about somebody who makes their living being like, I have to have a strong opinion on everything. You know what I mean? So, I typically seek out other creators if they're talking about things, whether it be media or news, to have strong opinions too. But that being said, though, I do think he does pick good stories, good production, good delivery, and for the most part seems like a nice guy. Philip DeFranco is certainly an example of another very old school YouTuber, has been at it for a long time, who I haven't really seen a whole lot out there about him that's like caused me to think twice about him as an individual or anything. And believe me, that's happened many times, because a lot of YouTubers, total jerks, egotistical, shit for brains. But Phil, that not the case with him, I don't think. What do I think about Odyssey and Oracle by the Zombies, one of the best albums of the 60s? Honestly, I don't think I've heard that record all the way, so I can't even say. But still, thank you for supporting. Dear Anthony, I am writing you from the future. Whoa! A writer from the future? You can give super chats from the future? Is that a YouTube feature? You never did a tour date in Toronto, and it horribly shifted the course of humanity. Help us, Anthony. You are our only hope. I will be doing Vancouver, which I know, not Toronto. But eventually when I do another tour in that area, because this next one is pretty much just going to be West Coast. Eventually there will be a Toronto date. So just hold up. Next tour, I'm sorry, didn't happen. It won't happen, but there will be one in the future. Just keep an eye out. Have I given... Oh, wait. Ow! Thank you, Barnaby. Have I had the chance to listen to the new Me Without You LP and EP? I did listen to a bit of the EP. Seemed okay. The LP is on my to-listen list on my calendar, so I don't have an opinion on that yet, but I do plan on giving it a listen, and at least it will get Why You Know coverage, if any coverage at all. Would I say I've enjoyed any of their albums in the past? Yeah, I mean, some of their older stuff, I've given a few mildly positive reviews to their stuff over the years, but I don't think they're at their creative peak at the moment, you know what I mean? But maybe this new album will change my mind. You know, I'm very much open to that. Though the material that I heard lately didn't seem as like, I don't know, as poetic and as like narratively intensive, but it seemed like there was a bit of a change of vocal style as well. But honestly, I feel like Me Without You has had a pretty tried and true sound for a long time, and maybe it's time to change it up, and hearing it full view on a new full-length album might just change my mind. So I'm looking forward to the LP. Just putting this out there, you should check out the album A Fruitless Endeavor by the band Kowal. Dope band from KC. P.S. You're wrong about Pianos Become the Teeth. That's fine if you feel that way. I really don't feel like bands like that are for me anyway. Have I heard the band Architects? When will we find out what happens next in the deep fried dimension? Probably never. I think, honestly, the meme man just dies in the deep fried dimension. I feel like that's a good place for him to be. I would honestly just look at that as the plan at this point, because I've approached Adult Swim. I've approached Super Deluxe. I've talked to people who have connections over at Netflix. Nobody wants to have anything to fucking do with it, you know? And honestly, at this point, I would see that as the plan, as like a really good Adult Swim show that got canceled. You know, look at it that way. You know, I'm personally never going to know what happens through the rest of the Perfect Hair Forever saga, and you don't see me complaining about it. Hey, Melon, have I heard of the Australian band Sticky Fingers? And if so, would I consider reviewing them? I've heard of them, but I'm not familiar with their stuff at all. And I will just have to get back to you on that. If it's good and it knocks my socks off, of course I would consider talking about it. But otherwise, I can't say. Have I heard the group Jungle? They're a modern soul group, and most of their recent album, Forever, is fantastic. I have heard the new record. I don't know if I would jump on the soul train with that description. I just sort of see them as a modern dance pop group with a bit of an indie twist. But personally, I felt like the production on the new record just had way too much goddamn reverb on it, and I feel like it really washed out the instrumentation and kind of took down the groove potential of the album, which is a little unfortunate because I believe I caught the band live in passing at a festival before, and they sounded pretty great. But outside of a few singles off of their last record, I can't say I care for their stuff all that much. Am I familiar with Smurf Curse? I love how minimal all of their projects are. I have no idea what the fuck Smurf Curse is. But that sounds utterly intriguing, and I will try to make some time to peep that. Smurf Curse. Smurf Curse, eh? Worst Songs of Our Adolescence, Volume 3. Yeah. Oh, Tub Thumping isn't that bad, though. And Sublime Santeria is not bad either. And I wouldn't really say Good Charlotte was a part of my adolescence. So I see where you're going. Maybe I'll consider it. But I just need to think of more bad songs from my adolescence, I guess. Feels Bad Man, no Midwest tour. Ow! And one day, I will definitely be there in Chicago. I'll definitely do Cleveland. I will definitely, probably do like some St. Louis. You just got to give me time because I can't, with my home stuff and with my YouTube stuff, I cannot be on the road for like 2 months at a time. You know what I mean? My next tour is going to be like 6 or 7 days because I got to get right back home and like work on videos. And I can't like do reviews while on tour. Like it's just not. This past tour, I thought I was going to be able to, but it just did not pan out that way. This past tour, I thought I was going to vlog the whole fucking time, but no, it's like fucking insane. Like there's so much you have to do to just kind of like, stay on your shit. Unless you have a whole team of people who you're paying to be around you all the time and figure everything out. It's a lot. What is your opinion on the late Chris Cornell from Audioslave and Soundgarden? And did I like their stuff? I like Soundgarden stuff. When I was a kid, they were all over the radio. Supernova was great. Audioslave I thought was okay. That coming from somebody who liked Soundgarden, who loved Rage Against the Machine. Audioslave I thought was all right. But overall, he was a good vocalist, a very good vocalist. I wouldn't say he was one of my favorite songwriters around that time, but he was definitely a standout vocalist. It's an ongoing trend that has only has one classic album, Illmatic, on Vlad. The argument that he is a whack beat picker, except Illmatic. It was written Godson, Illmatic Classics, IMO Thoughts. That Nas there's a typo. No, I wouldn't say Illmatic is his only classic. I would say it's his most classic, and I would say it's one of the most. Here's the thing. I think if Illmatic is probably a 10. If Illmatic had been an 8, I think more people would see it as on par with some other records in his discography. But Nas just doesn't have one great record. And I'll leave it at that. And I don't necessarily think it's only because of his beat picking that he doesn't have more classic records. But thank you. Ow! To Heather over here. Hey, Melon, I am a trans woman who has been dealing with a lot of gender dysphoria recently. Could you recommend some music to help me feel very feminine? Sorry if awkwardly worded. Love you lots. I would suggest maybe the new little Cara Cara Bonito album that I just reviewed. I feel like some parts of that record are pretty feminine. I'm trying to think of what else. I don't know if I would necessarily call Sophie's music feminine, though I feel like that's presumptuous just to present that. What's a really feminine record? I feel like Fiona Apple's music is very feminine, but like in a very like snide, kind of nasty, empowering sort of way. Something daintier, I guess. I don't know. I would look up and this could just be the Cara Cara Bonito talking, but I feel like I'm just very much in like a twee sort of mood. Like maybe look up some Black Tambourine or I guess it just kind of matters what sort of femininity you want or you're talking about or you're thinking about or what you have in mind. I would, maybe even listen to the Slits album, Cut. To me, that is like such a That's like a fucking womanly through and through. You know, I mean, it's not exactly like a dainty record. You know what I mean? Maybe listen to some Marissa Nadler. You know, her new record just came out and it's pretty decent. Her last record is gorgeous. Maybe some Soap and Skin. You know, I feel like her music is pretty feminine as well. Hopefully those suggestions work. What are your thoughts on older SoundCloud artists like Bones, Chris Travis, Xavier Wolf, etc.? Also, which Brockhampton member has the best rapping voice? As of right now, I think best rapping voice, as far as Brockhampton members go, I think Merlin's voice stands out to me the most a lot of the time. I think he's just got kind of like a goofy, foghorny type voice, and in a good way. And generally, I think the older SoundCloud stuff is all right. You know, I think Bones and Chris Travis and Wolf have a distinctly dark sound, but I feel like they haven't really pushed it in any direction that really kind of merits it transcending past the dark underground underbelly that it lives in. But I think they're all respectively fine with that. It's just kind of unfortunate that, you know, it didn't evolve past that. And also, ow, if I didn't give you one. Hey, Melon, thanks for introducing me to Igloo Ghost. Do I plan on diving into more reviews of electronic music as a whole? The heavy bass scene is exploding right now. Sakura Burst, 1788, Her Hero Bust. I'm not even familiar with those artists, so I will save that. And if any of their music stops me in my tracks, I will give that a shot. Because there are a lot of more mainstream electronic records that people recommend to me, but I'm not interested in them at all. Like, I try them out and I give them a listen, but they just don't do anything for me. Please make a cringing with video on Cannonball by Togo Ultra Rock. He's a local musician in ND. He's god awful and embarrassing. He's ran with his MV as a local YouTube ad for a year now. Finish him. Okay, well, I mean, look, I'm the cringing with series. It's not to bully small artists. You know what I mean? And after the you know, if you're an artist with a following and you've got hundreds of thousands of streams on your videos, then I feel like a reaction could be warranted. But if like he's some random local guy with like maybe a few dozen fans or something, I'm not gonna push it. I'm not gonna push it. I'm not trying to ruin anybody's life or create a social media onslaught on anybody. Get on BoJack Horseman. I just finished it. The pro-vegan stuff is great, but in general, it's brilliant. Depressing yet funny. Sucks about Adult Swim. Sorry. Oh, no, that's okay. I'm not upset about it. You know, everything happens for a reason. Yeah, people have been telling me to get on the BoJack Horseman thing. I most likely will at some point. Currently, no. Currently, I have to finish American Horror Story, though. I'm kind of watching that with my wife because we're kind of American Horror Story fans. But Brandon Wardell made a really funny joke the other day where he just tweeted, he was like, Rick and Morty fucking sucks. Only losers like Rick and Morty. And then he new sentence immediately after, oh man, this depressed horse cartoon is amazing. You're my fucking goat. Thank you, Ollie. Thank you, Ollieman. Thoughts on Stereolab? I mean, they're a pretty cool indie pop group, you know, super Frenchy and fun and artsy. Not one of my favorites, but certainly one of the more unique groups out there. All the respect in the world to him. Tip of the hat to Stereolab. Just wondering if I ever checked out Part Chimp Chart Pimp. No, that was in the last stream that was recommended, and I still do have that suggestion. But I haven't been able to get through the suggestions in the last stream yet because I had kind of a swamped week and I did a talk over in New Jersey, so I didn't get to all the suggestions. So I apologize. I did not get to the Part Chimp Chart Pimp, which I feel like is a tongue twister I may not even be able to say 10 times fast. Part Chimp Chart Pimp, Part Chimp Chart Fuck. Part Chimp Chart Pimp, Part Chimp Chart Pimp, Part Chimp Chart Pimp, Part Chimp Chart Pimp. Part Chimp Chart Pimp, Part Chimp Chart Pimp, Part Chimp Part Fuck. But anyway, I still do have that suggestion packed away, and I am saving it. Also wondering if I've ever listened to Ponytail Ice Cream Spiritual. Yes, I have. I remember that record. That's a really noisy, crazy, colorful, off the fucking wall record. Like I didn't love it all the way through, but That's funny that you mentioned that, because that's definitely a sound and an energy that I wish more underground rock music had these days. That's a really good question. I totally forgot about that fucking band, and I'm pretty sure I covered that. Ponytail band, tail band, the needle drop. Did I cover that? Did I talk about that? Ponytail, do whatever you want all the time. It seems like it's got written up on the website. But damn, yeah, Ponytail were a pretty cool band. Yeah, Ice Cream Spiritual. It did have some cool sounds on it. Yeah, disbanded in 2011. That sucks. Dustin Wong had some cool solo stuff going on, though. He's always working on something. So shout out to Dustin Wong. He's always got something going on. He's an active member of the musical society. Reborn on Kids See Ghosts is the best song on the album, no challenge. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's arguable. I'm not going to debate against that. I feel like maybe the closest is Fourth Dimension, but Reborn, I cannot deny it is a great track. Hey, Anthony, love from Fickman, Ohio. Hey, what up? Thoughts on Young Thug's influence on the new wave? I think it's overlooked. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's not as widely talked about because a lot of artists don't necessarily want to admit that they're just ripping off their contemporaries, which is what a great deal of trap music and contemporary hip hop is these days. You're not like, necessarily pulling from a long and storied history of hip hop music, but you're just deciding that you're just going to rip off this other guy who has a hit song and so on and so forth. But Young Thug, his vocal, inflections and everything, and his style have influenced a lot of auto crooners out there. That's undeniable. But the thing is, I don't think you would have Young Thug without Lil Wayne anyway. So, whatever. Been watching your content since 2010. I understand that you removed your early reviews because of the sound clips, but I always wondered why you deleted the top 15 records of 2009 video. That's a good question. I maybe in a mistake totally fucked up and decided to just in a rash decision delete all of those videos because at the time, very young, very dumb. And this person who was my contact over at YouTube was telling me like, you need to get this stuff off your channel now or else you could get flagged or you can get DMCA'd 2 or 3 more times. And then your channel would just have to get taken down. And I'm just like, fuck. So honestly, I just rushed and I got rid of that shit. And maybe every single video that I removed, didn't have song clips in it, but I just got rid of all of them. And, you're right. I probably did just get rid of my 2009 video. And in retrospect, maybe it did have sound clips in it. Maybe I was like, hey, this is my 9th record. Here's a clip. Maybe it did have sound clips in it, but in retrospect, I don't see why I would put it in there, but who the fuck knows? Maybe it did. Or maybe I just removed it because I was dumb, but yeah, still, I apologize. And I actually I had, but I got rid of it, my old PC from when I used to edit those videos, and actually brought the fucking thing to Staples in hopes that maybe there's old videos on it or whatever, but there wasn't any old videos on it. Which 9 rated record was closest to getting a 10 and why is it Atrocity Exhibition? I would say Atrocity Exhibition. I would say the new Nicholas Jar Against All Logic. I would say Vector, Black Future. I would say Plowing into the Field of Love. Those ones probably came closest to 10. Gender Bent Cats on Motorcycles. Follow on Twitter, Nagopoly, for more brilliant content. Okay. Nagopoly. Nagopoly. Nice to see you, Anthony Banstantano. I have been stuck in a musical rut and want to know what do I think of Sebado's best record? What do I think Sebado's best record is, as well as what do I think of Ween's Quebec? I do think Quebec is one of their more fun, fancy-free, kind of tongue-in-cheek records. Came out when I was in college, and I thought it was really cute. But as far as Sebadoh, I went through kind of a 90s lo-fi phase at some point, and Sebadoh is a band that I kind of listened to casually, but I was never as crazy into them as I was into like Pavement or Silver Jews or Eric's Trip and that sort of thing. They're for sure a cool band, but I've never been super huge into them. So those shout out to Lou Barlow and all them. Have I ever listened to Tall Black Guy? His first album, 8 Miles to Moenart, is pretty good, but a little old, 2013. I'm not familiar with that artist. I'm just going to have to take that recommendation and see, but not familiar with that guy. And, it would suck if I end up liking that record and it came out in 2013. It sucks sometimes because every once in a while, somebody will throw a record out to me that like came out 5 years ago. And I'm like, what was I doing? This album's like sick, or it's pretty good, or I might have covered it at the time. Big fan. Have you ever listened to Gus Dapperton? If so, thoughts. One of my favorite current artists. I think it falls under synth pop. Yeah, I would say synth or indie pop. I think his stuff is okay. I think his I think his fashion sense is a little bit more interesting than his music, though. But his songs are pretty sweet and breezy and fun. Can't hate on it, but it's just not bold enough for me personally. Have I ever heard of Oh Wonder? I've been dying to hear your thoughts on them since I discovered them, even if I don't like them. I'm not familiar with them, Annette. So I cannot say honestly. I don't even know who Oh Wonder is. I wonder who they are. So I'm just going to have to take this recommendation and just check out who they are once I get a chance to sift through all these recommendations. But Oh Wonder, I'm unfamiliar. Oh, but ow! Ivan says, my last chat died, but I'll ask again. I apologize for that. What do I think of music channels like Lai Likes Music? I think they're just trying to justify their own music taste without actually breaking down the concepts. Do I agree? I've seen a few of Lai's videos. I thought they were okay, but I haven't dived so deeply into the channel that I am sort of seeing the problem that you're talking about here. And not that it's there, but I'm just not familiar enough with his content to say like, oh, he's actually like not that good of a music YouTuber. Yeah. I mean, right now, as far as like music YouTubers go, my two new favorite ones are probably, Volksgeist and Blackie Speaks. I think both of them make some pretty compelling videos. But I mean, I guess to your point, as I have seen Lai's content before, it hasn't sort of like, popped up back into my head to watch it again. So maybe that says something, but, after your suggestion here, maybe, try to remind myself, Lai Likes Music to watch again and just kind of see what's up. Do I enjoy music of the Tragically Hip? I am familiar with them after somebody made a previous suggestion in a live stream, like maybe even last year, like a long time ago. And honestly, like being an American, I was not subject to the Tragically Hip hype at all. And going back and listening to them in retrospect, I think it's mostly just like something maybe you had to be there for, but they didn't sound bad. They didn't sound bad. Just kind of sounded like some standard 90s rock in a lot of ways. Hey, Anthony, is there any chance of a System of a Down or a Queens of the Stone Age worst to best? I don't know, because Queens of the Stone Age is still pretty active. System of a Down's discography is painfully small, so I don't really know if it's worth a worst to best. But I'm definitely considering a Toxicity classic review. Also, which Tool album do I like the best? In my opinion, it's Anomina. Anomina. That's my favorite Tool album. Am I ready for Trench? Yes, I am. And what's my opinion on Childish Gambino? I think he's a pretty interesting artist. I think he's gotten more interesting over time. And I'm looking forward to his new record. I am looking forward to it. After watching the music video, Feels Like Summer did grow on me a little bit. So I'm a new subscriber, so sorry if you've mentioned this before, but which genre of music do I enjoy the most? Probably either post-punk or hip-hop. It's probably my two favorites. Whose concepts do I prefer, Doom or Kendrick? I mean, I like Doom's lyrics, his references, his word choices, but I mean, I don't think he's a big concepts guy. I think, sure, there's Food and sure there's Born Like This and everything, but I think if we're going concept for concept, Good Kid, Mad City is the more solid narrative. It's the more solid concept. To Pimp a Butterfly is the bigger, larger, more ambitious concept. And that's nothing against Doom. I don't think you have to have a super strong concept to kind of nail a great album. You know what I mean? Also, for a rapper with a high voice, do I think it's more accessible to be eccentric like Danny Brown or manipulate the vocals, Quasimodo, da 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 da? I don't know if I could say which one is better than the other, honestly. I don't think I have really a preference. Already become a big fan. I'm curious, what are my thoughts on Bruce Springsteen? He's the boss. Nebraska is great. Born in the USA. Got that record. That record's great. He's a good songwriter. Don't really have anything against him. Maybe it's a little too normie and not weird enough for me sometimes, as there are other artists who hit it big in the 80s that I prefer, but he's still a great songwriter. Was listening to an Anderson .Paak interview, and he said that he got J. Cole and Pusha T on his new album, so I'm excited to see what that means. I don't really see Pusha fitting over a synth pop groove. No, I think he'll fit over a synth pop groove. Pusha, back in the day with Clips, hopped on a lot of crazy production thanks to Pharrell, so I could definitely see him on a silly synth pop groove. I think he'll do it. I think he could do it. Hello, Mr. Fantano. Just saw Idols at the Larimer Lounge here in Denver, and what an amazing show. Wondering if I've ever heard of their opening band, Baramba. If so, thoughts? I have not, but given that they are opening with Idols, they're probably great, and I'm going to check them out. Needle Drop, you still owe me a Gator Skin review, by the way. I need to look that up and remind myself of what that is. What are your thoughts on REM? I think their discography would make a good worst to best video. It could potentially, but I've never been like a super huge REM head, so I'd be doing a lot of refamiliarizing myself with their whole catalog if I were to do a worst to best. Though I do agree, their catalog probably would make a pretty epic worst to best. Hey, Anthony, have I ever explored the other artists of the old UK Mo Wax label, aside from DJ Shadow? Ongoing Uncle project by James Lavelle. No, I have not. So I'll just have to see. But no, I have not. That's a blind spot for me, my son. It's a blind spot, Harry. But thank you for donating and thank you for interacting. Thoughts on the band Aborted? I don't even really think I've gotten into Aborted. I mean, they're the death metal band, right? But I don't think I've familiarized myself with them as much as I would need to even answer this question. So I don't even really have many thoughts on Aborted. Dissimulated, dark, but I'll give you a kissy. You often criticize albums for being too all over the place, but you've also praised others for it. Ween, what's the difference between doing this well or not? I guess it depends on what exactly your prerogative is. Ween, I would say, is a band that makes records that are literally all over the place stylistically, to the point where it's a quirk, and that's their appeal. You know what I mean? And you're talking about a group that is literally like, they're making some goofy ass cock rock type shit, and then they're doing something that's completely on the other side of the stylistic map. To me, that's like, whoa, how many groups cover all those bases? There's that, and then there's, you wrote a synth pop track, and then you wrote a pop punk track, and then maybe you wrote like a dance rock track, and then maybe you wrote like a new metal track. And to me, it's like those sounds aren't so far away from each other that it's taken a fucking rocket scientist, a music scientist, to sort of recreate an adventure through all those sounds. You know what I mean? If you're going to be all over the place and that's going to be to your benefit, it better be because you're so creative that you are kind of mastering all these styles in a way that few other artists are. Like Mr. Bungle, for example. Hi, Anthony. Been a fan for 6 years. Saw you nut at Yale. What would you say your favorite electronic albums are? Also, would love it if you peeped the EP Milk Has Dead by Cutie Boy. Much love. Porter and Rick's debut record, I think, is amazing. A lot of Square Pusher stuff, I think, is amazing. A lot of early Aphex stuff I like quite a bit. Richard D. James album, I think, is amazing. Daft Punk stuff, obviously. No, wait a second. You said your favorite electronic albums. I mean, obviously any record that I've reviewed very positively since I started the channel, but I'm mostly talking about, maybe something I was listening to when I was younger, The Prodigy and that sort of shit. Is mostly kind of like the electronic music that I came up on and I grew up with. And again, not to say I was like listening to it when I was 12 or anything, but like, when I would hear like electronic music in high school and college. So probably shouldn't say grew up because I wasn't listening to fucking Aphex Twin when I was 6. Fred Zombie. Ow! Hey, Fantano, would please a synthwave group called The Midnight. They released 4 records, Days of Thunder EP, their debut album. I think you'll like. Okay. I'll see what's up with that. Thank you, Fred Zombie. Thank you, Fred Zombie.
Thank you, Fred Zombie.
Hey, Melon, haven't seen the best teeth in the game in a while. How about you show me those pearly whites, Daddy? Oh, my God, you're going to need to pay more than $5 for that. What are your thoughts on I have no thoughts on Fora, honestly. So I apologize for that. Ricky, when are we getting that Outcast worst to best? I'm still working on it. And favorite Judas Priest albums. I will say one of the best Judas Priest albums is Painkiller, hands fucking down. Just in reply to your MGK opinion, a rapper who has thousands and thousands of fans with his movement tattooed might be influencing the culture just a little bit. Honestly, if you're just doing 22K and you're not even independent, like you're just basically on Diddy's label and you're technically mainstream, but you're doing pitiful numbers, I don't see that as a movement. If we were talking about an artist who's completely independent and all their numbers, all their interest, everything is completely grassroots, and they've done 22K, they've done 30K, they've done 50K, to me, that's a movement. If you're on a mainstream label and Diddy is basically behind your music and behind your business model, and you're selling 9,000 copies, that's not a movement. It's not a movement. The closest thing to that is a bowel movement. Okay, it's not a movement. You should sell more than 9,000 fucking copies after the most famous rapper in the world dissed you. Okay? You should sell more than 9K. 2004 had some great albums. What do you enjoy more, Mad Villainy or The College Dropout? Mad Villainy. Whoever sent this in, thank you. Message retracted. I want to be stereotyped. I want to be classified. Okay, Chris Pete. You sound like a fucking guy with two first names for your first name and your last name. What are you doing, man? You're just your average first name guy, Chris Pete. Opinion on Sheck Wes. Is there hope for another artist who just makes bangers? His new mixtape drops at midnight. Also thoughts on Lanny. No thoughts on Lanny. And as far as the bangers thing, I mean, I think there's always room for bangers. I think it just depends on how crazy and over the top you are with it. I just heard a great banger from Kenny Beats and that Zach dude the other day that was fucking amazing. But, eventually there's going to be so many fucking bangers that we're just going to be banger saturated. And not that banger demand will go down. It probably won't for a while, but it's going to be harder to compete in the banger field. Favorite OC's album and why? Right now, I think it's The Orc. And just for all the reasons that I said in my review, but also just great jams, great production, good energy, cool instrumentation, just a great, exciting momentum and vibe. Hey, man, what do I think about jazz like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Bobby Darin? Also add Perry Como in there and that sort of shit. The whole Rat Pack and all that stuff. But I'm fine with it. I think it's cool. I actually have kind of a singing voice on the deeper end of the spectrum. So I do kind of like singing along to some of that stuff. I do like some old Blue Eyes every once in a while. He is a sweet ass singer and he does have some great tunes. Caro Caro Bonito sounds like the Lazy Town soundtrack. And bitch, That's not a bad thing. That is not a bad fucking thing. Okay? You thought you came in here with a diss, but not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Thoughts on Damn? JK, thoughts on Unknown Mortal Orchestra or Clario? I reviewed Unknown quite a few times. I don't know if I formally reviewed their latest record or if I just talked about it in a Why You Know review. But I am somewhat interested to hear that new instrumental record they recorded in Vietnam. Rich says, is Wale top 5 of all time? No, he is not. Absolutely no. That is so a no. But Clario, I think her music's pretty boring, honestly. I think there are more interesting bedroom pop artists out there. Why in God's name did you rank Master of Puppets above Ride the Lightning? Because it's a better fucking album, bro. It has better songs. Ride the Lightning doesn't have Battery on it. Okay? Battery! It's a better song. What is your top favorite Childish Gambino song? Huge fan, by the way. And can I say PCP? Thanks. My favorite Childish Gambino song probably comes off of his last full-length album. It's either that or This Is America as of right now. As you guys know, like, I wasn't huge on his early stuff. I wasn't huge on Because of the Internet. So while I do like Childish Gambino, my enjoyment of his stuff, and I will cover the new Logic record, is very much recent. Very much recent. Top 5 comedy bands. I mean, I love Weird Al. I don't know. I grew up with Weird Al. I literally did like grow up listening to Weird Al. Like that's, you know, listen, I'm at the point where I'm so old. If I talk about something I used to listen to in high school, to me, it feels like I should say I grew up listening to that, even though I was like almost like a legal adult at that point. But I acknowledge your existence. But as far as like comedy bands go, there might have been some others I've talked about recently, but I don't know. I just kind of am just like a Weird Al guy through and through. You know, that's just kind of my type of corny comedy music thing. And Frank Zappa has some cool comedy music, which I think is really smart and interesting. Are there any other artists that compare to Kanye's level of consistency of great projects over 2 decades in the history of music I want to reco? I mean, I think if we're talking about hip hop music here, I think The Roots, you know, and I think Jay-Z too. You know, but I don't think those artists are as versatile as Kanye has been proven to be, you know, over the years. So, you know, there is that aspect of it. Hey, man, hope you're good. Just wanted to know your thoughts on Galaxy 500, specifically their album On Fire and Metal Machine music by Lou Reed. I mean, Galaxy 500, dream pop is not one of my favorite genres in the world, but they are most certainly and unquestionably one of the best bands in the genre. You know, even if I do find some of their stuff to be a little too faint for me. But Metal Machine by Lou Reed, you know, to me, it's not necessarily a record I get a whole lot of gratification out of, but it's a fun listen, you know, and it's an essential album too, because the thing is like the thing, what Lou was doing on that album was just totally fucked up for the time, and people hated it. And I feel like that's the reception the album should have gotten, because he wasn't trying to make an album for, you know, the general population to just love and go head over heels over. You know, it's a fucked up art album. And if you want to listen to something fucked up and artsy and weird, that's where you go. How much to get you to review my new song live right now? I don't do reviews for money, so no dollars. But if you tweet me the song, and if I like it and if it's good, then I might talk about it. Do I think Brockhampton will surpass Kanye? I don't know about that. I mean, I think Brockhampton is still too early on to tell, frankly. Would I ever consider doing a Pink Floyd worst to best? Yes, I would consider it. Melon, do you got that test alert from Donald Trump on your phone? Shout out to Christina Applegate, by the way. I did get it. I made a little meme of it on Instagram. I'm having a good time, just like y'all are, with the presidential messages. About to meet Denzel Curry. What should I ask him? I don't know. I met him once before. He's a pretty chill, cool dude. I guess just ask him where he's planning on taking his music next. You know, that's what I asked him. And he had some interesting thoughts. But tell him I said hi. And tell him I think he's a cool guy in the shit. And he should hit me up. He should tweet me. What are my thoughts on the progressive voice? He's a complete idiot. Also, Sargon of Akkad and Dave Rubin are geniuses. Nas is the GOAT of rap. I mean, the progressive voice, I've been watching his YouTube channel for a while. He's a bit of a cuck. He's just a kid. He sits in his room. He talks about politics, and he wears like an ill-fitting suit, and he just looks like a total cuck boy. His taste in hip hop is okay. He thinks Eminem is like the greatest rapper of all time, and he's just like all over Eminem's balls. But you are wrong. Sargon of Akkad is not a fucking genius. He's a dum-dum. However, Dave Rubin, he's of an intellectual level that I have not seen since Jordan Peterson. So I can't even begin to talk about Dave Rubin's intellect. Let's just back off of it. Because he's just a mind that I can't comprehend. Thoughts on late 90s / early 2000s screamo bands like Orchids, Seisha, Page 99, etc. Love you, Melon. Yeah, I was actually talking to the dude over at the Washed Up Emo podcast not too long ago, and we were talking about some screamo from that era. And I do fuck with Page 99. I fuck with some Envy as well. That era of screamo is pretty sick. It's pretty good. And I can't remember the name of the band. Fuck. I reviewed a couple of sick-ass screamo albums on the channel, too. So do look into that as well if you haven't. Do I have any music you would say you're slightly embarrassed of? LMAO, new fan, been binging. Like in my collection or anything? I've gotten to the point where I've just said no guilty pleasures. What I like is what I like. What I like is what I fucking like. And I just own it, you know? I've given Neil Cicerega records super positive reviews, and those albums are basically fucking memes. I've come out here and I've said, I like Lil Pump. I do like Lil Pump. How much are you banking off this? Talk about a mood enhancement. Yeah, I mean, my mood's enhanced. My mood is totally enhanced. I won't know until a few days when YouTube tells me. What are your thoughts on Drake Bell's cover of Gucci Gang? Oh my God! I have not seen that. I will have to look that up. Hey, Tony, is music taste mostly influenced by what you were most musically exposed to as a child? Does Cal live with you? Love from Austin, Texas. Love back. Cal does live with me. He'll probably move out if he ends up ever sort of getting a hit song, you know, and making his own money in music. But that being said, yeah, I think so. And also I think what music you end up enjoying has a lot to do with just a lot of things contextually surrounding you. You know, at what time did you grow up? Where did you grow up? What were your parents like? How were you raised? What is your heritage and ethnic background? You know, all of those things most likely influence the music that you're probably growing up around, you know? So again, to your question, yes. But I think everything having to do with the context in which you are raised up in the world affects your taste and affects the music that you listen to, what you prefer, what music means the most to you as you grow older. Melon, can you be my new Drew Barrymore? I cannot. I'm too fat. You know the progressive voice asked that question. You just called him a cuck to his face. Bad Melon. I know. I was just playing a game. The progressive voice asked me that question as if he wasn't the progressive voice. So I was just buying into the meme. The progressive voice, he's not a cuck. He's a nice guy. But a bit of a cuck, though. So, hey, Anthony. Know any other recommendations R&B singers that blend acoustics and down-tempo electronics similar to Eden or James Blake? That is mind-blowingly specific. And I would encourage anybody in the comments, in the chat, to take that question, because blend acoustics and down-tempo electronics similar to Eden or James Blake. I'm not a huge Eden guy, but again, with the James Blake, yeah, honestly, I cannot say. I really cannot. Yeah, I'm honestly stumped on this question. It is an oddly specific question, but honestly, I would troll the tags on Bandcamp. Because chances are there are some people out there making some acoustic R&B shit that, you know, and they're uploading it themselves. Work with C-Town again on the Earl Sweatshirt or Blockhead LP. And for cover art, when it comes to a new act, is it more interesting to see the artist or is it more intriguing to see something else? I think it could still be cool to see the artist. I'm not against that. I mean, maybe it's a little old hat, but I think it's still cool. And people connect with other people, you know? So I think there's still merit in that. My last chat got skipped. I'm sorry. I'll ask again. Thoughts on John Mayer and a quick review of the Search for Everything, his guitar playing. John Mayer is a great guitar player. That being said, I think he's a kind of a bland songwriter. So, I mean, you know, you win some, you lose some, I guess. I mean, I've seen live sets and, you know, performances of him on YouTube and stuff. And again, I'm super impressed with his guitar playing. And like, it's just so fluid. He has such a familiarity and a mastery of the instrument that he just literally makes it look like fucking easy. Like he could just do everything he's doing in his sleep. But still, that being said, I don't care for his songwriting all that much. You know, that's just me. I just feel like I owe you some cash for all the entertainment you've given me. Flying Avocado. Well, thank you. I owe you a thank you for that. I hate to be that guy. Oh boy, you're going to be that guy. And I'm not doing promo, I swear. But my album samples different albums, and they're all on the cover. I just wanted to know what your favorite album on it is. It's Miss Mall's Edelweiss on SoundCloud. Well, I can't. Is that the album cover right there? I can't see it. It looks really tiny. But I don't know. If I'm on SoundCloud and I have saved the recommendation and I can leave a comment, then maybe I'll just drop a comment with a thought. A fellow vegan here. I fucking love your cooking tutorials. Am I planning on doing more? Yes, I am. But I need to, I've just been swamped, and my wife has been swamped because she's at a time at work right now where it's really busy for her. I'm not going to, like, you know, my wife likes our private lives to be private. So I'm not going to come out here and, you know, talk about my wife's line of work, you know, but she works in an office and in a very important position. And and it just so happens that the fall is usually a very busy time for her. And things do get busy for me around this time as well, as a lot of artists are kind of getting their shit out before the year is out and then list week. So I do plan on doing another, you know, cooking video at some point, but right now I'm just a little swamped. So I apologize for that. Would a fictional Frank Ocean, Alex Turner collaboration be weird? Yeah, I think that'd be pretty weird. I think that'd be sort of weird. Yes. Do I have any good music documentaries to recommend? I liked the American Hardcore History of Punk if I've seen it. Also, High Melon. One of my favorite music documentaries is definitely the one about the world-class Wrecking Crew, a great studio band that recorded much of the pop and rock and vocal pop music and this and even the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds back in the day on the West Coast. You know, it's funny that that people sort of, and I myself look at the way music is made now in a DIY setting as like kind of economical, and how back in the day, or rather people see sort of like the way music is made contemporarily as almost like a loss of artistry, because oh, hey, well, you just got a producer and a songwriter, and then they just like fucking did your shit, and you know, you didn't put in any effort, you're not an artist, so on and so forth. But back in the day, that's kind of how they did it too, because this band, this group, artists would come in, they'd record the vocals, but they wouldn't even play any of the instruments on their fucking record, because the world-class Wrecking Crew would do it, because they were such good players and they played all the time, day in and day out, that it was just easier and saved way more time in the studio to just have them fucking bang out the song and arrange it. Because again, good players, they did the songs in very few takes. And as a result, you know, a lot of songs ended up sounding the same or stuff, or they would reuse parts of other songs and just repurpose them in those songs, because the Wrecking Crew worked for a certain label. You know what I mean? So anything in your work that you'd like animated, Anthony at theneedledrop.com, email me, you know, we'll talk. Always in the mood for some animations or illustrations, if that's your line of work. But, you know, again, lots of artists didn't even play on their own shit back in the day if they were on the label with the Wrecking Crew, because the Wrecking Crew would just play their shit. So, you know, not knocking anybody, but it's just the industry. It's just the process. Have I listened to Avondale Bowling Club? If so, what do I think? Yeah, I think it's okay. I think as jazz rap goes in general across the entire genre, it's kind of bland. But as far as like hip hop music from New Zealand goes, it's kind of surprising, you know, like, whoa, this sounds like a pretty solid jazz rap record, considering it's from New Zealand. But just in general, I don't find it that intriguing personally. And I really wanted to like it. And there were a few tracks on it that initially wowed me. But the more I listened to the entire record, the more it just felt sort of underwhelming. How do I pick artists for worst or best based on, honestly, there's not one mindset. It's either just because I think people want it, or or I have something to say about it, or I like it. There's no one mentality that goes into it. Quest and Death worst to best are also favorite guitarists. I don't really have favorite guitarists, honestly. Hi from Down Under. Thanks for the great music recommendations. Just wondering if you have any thoughts on Sweet Trip. IMO, their album Velocity Design Comfort is a 10. Yeah, I think it's a great record. It's definitely one of the better experimental and electronic records of the 2000s. Very colorful, mind-bending, trippy, though not in like a kind of 60s psych rock kind of way, in kind of a new age, cutting edge, inventive type of way. Mick Questionable. Ow! What is your favorite album and why? I don't have one favorite album. You know that. I've listened to so many fucking albums. I don't have one favorite album. Wait, what's your favorite album and why? By Pink Floyd, Pink Floyd, I'd say Animals. Led Zeppelin, I would say 3 or Physical Graffiti. Beatles, I prefer the White Album or Abbey Road. The Who, I'm not sure about The Who. Iron Maiden might either be Power Slave or Killers, and Queen News of the World, I suppose, or Sheer Heart Attack, I suppose. Hopefully that answers all your questions. I was trying to turn my friend into some Ken mode, but he said they're a wannabe Avenged Sevenfold. What? I could see somebody saying, Ken mode, they're just a wannabe Jesus lizard or something like that. But what? A wannabe Avenged Sevenfold? Your friend's on crack. Your friend's on fucking crack. Crack-a-lack. And that's all I can say. Hey, O'Melon, just wanted to wish you a good day. Thank you. I hope you have a good day. What are my thoughts on Twin Shadow's new album, Care? Also, you left your hug at Central New Jersey. Come and receive it. Well, I apologize. I I do try to stick around at the end of some of the live shows to meet people and everybody, but the crowd was really like too huge to do that. And I had a 3.5 hour drive back to my place. So I had to kind of get on the road in order to get back to my house and finish the Carter 5 review. So I was strapped for time. But I didn't really think that much of the new Twin Shadow record, though I appreciated that he came at it with better production and tried some different genres and stuff and kind of came out of his comfort zone a little bit, but I just was not that into it. But I'm glad you're digging on it. I hope you are. 17-year-old, music is my passion, but I keep talking myself out of making my own. Love the Shades. Also, if I got locked up, I wouldn't finish this. Yeah, I don't know why you're talking yourself out of making your own music. Just do it. I mean, just be a fucking hobby, you know, just have fun with it. Don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. You know, it doesn't have to be the greatest album ever. You don't have to become fucking the next Rex Orange County or whatever. Just make music because you want to make some music because you want to. I don't know. Hey, Melon, it's Sean Reedy here. Want to send you some money to tell you to check your email for S. Reedy. And here with you, I am EP submission. Love you. Okay. Hope you're doing okay. Hi, Anthony. I saw you gave the KKB album an 8, but this confused me deeply. I thought the British got nay-nayed. So could you clarify? Yes. Well, Sarah Benito does have Japanese roots. So I feel like she kind of like protected the band as a whole, you know, with that sort of cultural connection to a different country. So And this could be true for anybody. You know, if you're a British band with an American fronting you, or, you know, a band member from Zimbabwe or from Germany or from Russia, you know, whatever country, as long as not everyone in the band is British, your review is definitely going to reflect that nay. So I apologize, but hey, what can I do? History is history, folks. Come to Chicago but when I eventually do a Midwestern tour, there will definitely be a Chicago date. It seems like more rock albums are making it into your love list this year. Do I think the genre is making a bit of a comeback? I mean, I think there are interesting rock albums to be talked about and had this year, but I don't know if the genre itself is making a cultural comeback. You know what I mean? I think there are a lot of older rock artists and even newer rock artists who sort of see that they're in a position where they're not going to get mainstream attention sort of selling out to the man, so they might as well do whatever the fuck they want. And I think that's yielding some interesting results. Hello, Anthony. Try and pronounce my second name. Also, favorite Alice in Chains song. Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. James Labouchaine. James Labouchaine. I'll say Labouchaine because it sounds Frenchy. Thoughts on the new Satan and Low records? I am planning on reviewing the new Low album. The new Satan record, I think, does have some good songs on it, but the drum production on the record sucks to the point where it's kind of distracting. But I do like the vocals, and I do like some of the tunes on there. It's definitely the band's campiest album yet. I asked you last week, but what is the best My Chemical Romance album? I think it's Black Parade. What I consider the band classic. I mean, I don't know if I consider the band classic, but I think that record is classic. You should review the new Periphery album when it comes out. I will absolutely not like the new Periphery album when it comes out. I guarantee it, as I've never enjoyed not one Periphery album ever, and they're not going to change. They're going to make the sound that they make because their fans like it, and I'm not a Periphery fan at this point. Hey, Manthony Mantano, on a scale of pyrocynical to Sam Hyde, how masculine are you? I need to know for research purposes. Honestly, that's like such a fucked scale. That is such a messed up scale. I would like to say I'm like a college educated at this point right now with the mustache and everything and the workout regimen. I'm like a Bronson, but I went to college and I'm sane and I'm vegan and I try to stay out of trouble. And I'm basically just an internet soy boy. If Bronson were an internet soy boy with a music review YouTube channel, that's basically me. So the masculinity of Bronson, but take it down a little bit because I run a YouTube channel and I'm a soy boy. So, hey, have I heard of the hip hop group Kings of Cartoons? And if so, what do I think of them? No, I have no idea who that is. Sounds kind of fun though. Hopefully there are lots of cartoon references. You should set up a phony charity to make 100 of the super chat profits deep fat fried. No, that would be bad. That would be bad. When will trap die? Love and respect coming at you. It will die when something as repeatable, as viral, and as catchy and as easy to understand replaces it. So, who would win in a YouTube music reviewer Royal Rumble? Who would eliminate the most guys? You and Beezy are the first two participants. A YouTube music reviewer Royal Rumble. I feel like I could win that shit, you know? ARTV has some height on me, but I think I could take him. And Mike Seatown's not going to be any fucking challenge. I think, you know, and I've met these guys in person. I think Ken and I think Modest Media could definitely like give me a good fight. Again, I don't know which way that would go, but I feel like I could, like, Mike is done. You know, Mike is done. Spectrum Pulse is done. Spectrum Pulse is done. And, you know, I don't like to say that. You know, I don't want to hate on the guy or anything. You know, Sean C is done. Sean C is done. But Big Quint, though, he's big. He's got a lot of energy. You know, he could totally focus that and give me a run for my money. So I don't know. That's kind of a preview. Hey, Anthony, just curious, what's your take on the rap group Atmosphere? I'm looking forward to the new record. I think for a long time they've come out with some pretty bland albums, but I think this new record could really kind of be a return to form. But God Loves Ugly is great. You know, sophomore record is really good too, in my opinion. Donating a second time because I really want you to listen to the new Bass album Milky Way. I talked about it in a previous Why You Know review. Personally, I just think it's bland. You know, it sort of runs along the same lines as many J. Cole albums, but even less interesting. I just think it kind of feels like a very chill vibe album, but like a little smarter and a little bit more soulful and positive in its vibe, but still it doesn't really leave a strong impression on me, honestly. Thoughts on Grateful Dead's live albums? I've never been a Grateful Dead guy, never been a Deadhead, not really much of a jam band dude, so I don't really have any strong opinions on the Dead, really. I suggest a 72 Europe show if interested. I know you don't like the studio albums, but totally different thing. Yeah, I know it's a different experience and everything, but I don't know. Maybe that one live show you're talking about is particularly good. I will say that recommendation, see what's up. Howdy, Melon. The first video I saw of yours was the Dance Gavin Dance instant gratification review that you gave a 1. Strongly disagree, but still love you. Yeah, I mean, I did give it a 1. But honestly, I feel like their latest record is much better than that album. I think it's not as needlessly noodly. Where's the Jesus Piece review? Somebody asked. I mean, the Jesus Piece record is okay if you like loud Cro-Magnon metalcore music. If that's all you really like about music, then you're going to fucking love that record. I mean, if you want to hear anything memorable or standout or, I don't know, something sonically unique, you're not going to get anything else, you know, but I do think Dance Gavin Dance has been moving in a better direction with their latest record. The songs sound more coherent and the vocals are a bit sweeter. You know, still not a band and a sound that I'm all that crazy for, but I think they've made improvements. Whoever sent this in, thank you. Khaled Saeed, sup Melon, if you haven't already, you should check out Filipino hardcore band Cial. Also, you mentioned Adult Swim, Xavier, Renegade, and Angel is the Shit. Not one of my favorite shows, but I will say it is one of the most underrated shows. And definitely, I do appreciate some of the weirder shows that they've had in the lineup. And Xavier is easily one of them. Xavier, 12 Ounce Mouse is really weird and fucked up. I do appreciate some of the weirder shows in the lineup. Worst Adult Swim show of all time, Assy McGee, hands down, no question. Never should have fucking existed. Either that or Saul of the Mole Men. Two of the worst shows. Future plans coming to AZ, showing AZ. Maybe, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe thinking about it. I'm not sure if my last date is going to be in Phoenix or if it's going to be in like Southern California. I'm still considering it. What are my thoughts on musically TikTok? I know cringe culture isn't always the best, but since it is involved in music, I want your opinion. I only vaguely remember their stuff, so I can't even really say, but I do remember not liking it. I guess I'll say that much. Favorite artist out of Minnesota? I don't even know. I mean, I guess isn't Prince from Minnesota? So I mean, I guess you could say that, you know, but I don't have a whole working knowledge of artists from Minnesota. I'm right on that, right? Can someone back me up on that? I want to make sure I didn't totally fuck that up. I've written a review for the new Proto Martyr EP, but I haven't even recorded it. I've just been so fucking busy, and just like other albums have just been taking priority. Someone says yes on the Prince thing, so thank you. Jenny Death Part 1 is more accessible and more connected than Bottomless Pit. In my opinion, it's a better album than Bottomless Pit. I disagree. And I think the Bjork samples are kind of off-putting. And not in a bad way. I like the fact that it makes the album unique as it is. But I think most people would find that album to not be... I honestly think most people have already not found that album to be as accessible as Bottomless Pit. Will I review and chime in on the Pine Grove album situation? I'm not all that well versed on the Pine Grove situation because I've never really cared that much about Pine Grove's music, period. I previewed a little bit of the new record and it doesn't really seem to be interesting me that much. So because, again, I'm not that into the band's music and I'm not that well versed in the situation to begin with. And I did read a little bit of the Pitchfork comeback explanation piece that came out. And it, I don't know, just kind of read like something like there was confusion or something. I was sort of reading people on both sides of the fence with the reaction to it. Honestly, like, I don't know enough about the band's music or the situation before and after the release of this new record to really even make a deep, profound comment on any of it. So I apologize for that. But David Bazan, never really got into his stuff, honestly. Never got into it. And not to say that he's not good, but I'm just like not into his stuff. Just never dove into it. Am I called vote Kanye? Okay, funny Harvey Weinstein, funny. Newest Proto Martyr EP, yes, I talked about that. Did I hear Converge's Beautiful Rain Ruin EP? Yes, I just thought it was okay. Was a little butthurt that I didn't review it. Yeah, I mean, I apologize, but there are actually a lot of EPs that ain't getting reviewed these days, and there's actually just like a lot of shit out there that I wish I was covering, but I just haven't been. Honestly, there are a lot of records toward the end of this week that I'm not even going to be able to get to that I'd like to. But I just feel like these days I'm juggling more and more and more in terms of like just how much is getting thrown out there, and I'm interested in covering. I have to cover because it just seems relevant, or I want to cover because it's a band that I've been reviewing for a long time. So, that sometimes I just have to cut my losses and accept that I'm coming out with 5 or 6 reviews every week or 5 or 6 videos every week on the main channel. Most of them are probably reviews. I can't review everything. And I try to throw as much as I can into the Why You Know review. I just pack it the fuck out these days. The Lone Chemist, big fan. I'm a video essay guy that's just starting out, and you're probably my favorite YouTuber. Also, have I heard, do I like the band Circa Survive? Never really got into Circa Survive, never really cared for their stuff, but I will check out your YouTube channel. The Lone Chemist, check him out, essayist. Let's see if he has some good essays. Cody Longgreen, thank you. Nice John Coltrane avatar. What did I major in college, and does it help you with what you review now? Oh boy, The Lone Chemist. In college, I focused on journalism and radio broadcast, just media, just broadcasting in general. And I think it's helped me, not only with sort of learning the rules of the road when it comes to journalistic theory, but also just with talking, presentation, writing, trying to communicate to an audience, that sort of thing. What are your thoughts on the Blade Runner 1982 soundtrack by Vangelis? I think it's great. That and the Chariots of Fire soundtrack are both awesome. I feel it has a very experimental and groundbreaking record you would like. Yeah, I mean, it's a great soundtrack. No denying that. Make my year and review my single. I'm just 17-year-old fucking around with a Mac when I'm bored. Bogus missing texture on Spotify, Apple Music. Look at this dude's track. Make this dude's day. Check out this dude's track. It's on fucking Spotify. Codeine Crew. Maybe they're high off some codeine. You're 17. Don't go on the codeine. Take care of yourself. You're going to fuck yourself up, dude. Dovey Music. When do you think the next evolutionary step of hip hop will develop? And what's your thought on, I think it's developing now. I think the next step is honestly going to be this emo trap shit. I think it's going to be emo rap. The next wave is literally going to be the equivalent to grunge. It's going to be depressing. It's going to be sad. It's going to be all in its feelings. It's going to be emo as fuck. So look out for it. Hey, big fan. I was wondering what your tips would be to someone who is wanting to create an album, art, flyers for a living. A lot of the time, and I've hit up some of these people myself, I see people promoting their shit all the time on Instagram, and they just leave comments, check out my shit, I do album art, blah, 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 blah. And Instagram is a great place to promote your shit. If you're an illustrator, if you're an artist, if you have work out there or a portfolio that you would like to share, also start a goddamn website. Those are my suggestions off the top of the dome. Who is the most surprising fan you've met, e.g. didn't fit in with your main demographic? I hope there is an 80-year-old woman out there listening to Denzel. I did meet like a lady who was definitely pushing 50 at the grocery store one time. And I was just checking out, and she just like came up to me and leaned in and said, "Hey, I love your videos. You're great, but you're wrong about the XX." And then she just walked the fuck away. And then I was like, what? What? You just fucking corrected me? Just came up and say, "Hey, I'm a big fan. You're great, but you're wrong about the XX." And then she just like totally just like left the grocery store with her with her friend. So that happened. Did you ever talk about Elliott Smith besides that one video about a letter from Honor Pop? I mean, I've talked about him in previous live streams before. I think he's a great songwriter. You know, Figure Eight's fantastic. Self-Titled is maybe my favorite of his. Your criticisms for A Star Is Born confused me. Gaga's character was very inspired by her life pre-fame. Shallow's drama fits well in the context of the movie. Honestly, I haven't seen the movie, so I mean, my critique of that is just that I think it's silly, you know, a little bit. I don't know if it's, I'm kind of cynical when it comes to movies and when it comes to films, which is probably like why I don't see a whole lot of them much of the time, at least like mainstream movies anyway. And again, not that I'm like a super big like movie buff with like indie shit anyway. But yeah, I'm just a snobby dickhead, and I will own up to that. I will own up to that. And I still love you too. And I apologize for being a snobby dickhead. So you got an apology out of me. Brad Scherer. Hi, what you think of maturation / music preference? I would have killed for the front bottoms Gambino's BTI music in high school, but now in 23, it's meh. Yeah, I mean, that it happens. You know, you grow out of stuff. I mean, I'm probably not, I'm not as crazy about Slipknot as I used to be in high school. I mean, in retrospect, they were definitely one of the better nu metal bands that I listened to, but like, would I take a bullet for a fucking Slipknot album now? No, I would no, I would not. It happens. And I think it's a good thing. It shows you're growing and you're changing, and growing and changing is good. Good evening. Will you review Behemoth's latest record? Yes, I will. I am planning on that. Ow! I like those hexagon. They're actually octagonal glasses. You sexy G. Also, your This Heat vinyl made me nut. That's good news. I feel hip hop and glitchiness were bound to come together. I think turntable scratches and chopped samples foreshadowed this thoughts. Yes, absolutely true. Chuck D actually said something like this in an interview, I think in a documentary or something, talking about the early days of hip hop and just sort of talking about how, you know, DJs and turntablism, the whole thing, the whole act of it is trying to make literal noise sound good and sound musical, you know? So, I mean, you're kind of taking glitches and sounds that you're not supposed, that no one would ever beforehand have thought could have been applied musically, and using them in a musical context. Excuse me. Favorite / most annoying memes made of you by your fans. Thoughts on Xavier Wolf. Thoughts on Night Level. Thoughts on Ghost Main. Thoughts on Man Wolves. Thoughts on asking multiple questions that isn't frowned upon. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that dark, edgy 3.6 SoundCloud shit is okay. But the most annoying meme is the "Hey Anthony, good review" meme, good review, but meme. That's probably the most annoying meme. Thank you, Gethany Green. Oh shit. That one. There we go. How is the sound of the vinyl Frank Ocean's Endless? It is sublime. Hey Melon, what do I think of Milo Scallop's Hotel Project? I mean, it's where he pretty much does like a lot of weird B-side type experimentation. It's okay. I think his solo Milo efforts are a bit more focused and interesting. Please share some recommendations for artists in the same window of Fever Ray. John Hopkins, Burial, Purposefully Wide Breath. Honestly, I don't really think there's a whole lot of artists that sound like those three, which is why I like them so much. Listen, you could, in the 2 or 3 years following Burial, there was tons of like two-step and garage and like spacey dubstep shit that sounded a lot like that record. If you hit up Rate Your Music and look in that same time period, you're probably going to find tons of it. As far as Fever Ray, I don't know. There's some Suzanne Sunfor tracks, especially on like her more electronic stuff that sound a little Fever Ray-ish to me. A little Kate Bush-y too, but not in a bad way. And the John Hopkins, I'm not really sure. Have I ever listened to Raleigh Ritchie, aka Jacob Anderson? Those are two very odd names. Puts out a lot of good music. He's massively underrated. But no, I'm not familiar with that artist. I'll have to peep him at another time. Hey man, my friend told you about me at Yale. Did you ever check out my stuff? Oh God, yes. He did say Suburban Lumberjack. No, I did not check out your stuff. Actually, because I forgot the name. But now that I see your YouTube name here, I remember it. But now I guess that you're here. Is your stuff on your channel? I will peep over there. I see it's there, so I guess I'll check that out. Good luck, Suburban Lumberjack. It's quite a creative name. I'm going to take a few more, and that'll be it. Have I listened to Horror? Did I love it? Did I hate it? Yes, I listened to their last full-length album. I thought it was really inconsistent and maybe a little basic, but I do appreciate the hardcore punk hip-hop fusion. It is kind of unique, and they are cool. And better than Death Grips and JPEG? No, that is wrong. That is patently wrong. That is patently wrong. But they do seem like cool guys though. How do I know about music as much as you do? Do you ever listen to music that to just know about it and didn't think you'd enjoy? Yes, I do have to do that quite often for my job, because somebody will be like, hey, can you review this record? And maybe it's in a genre, or maybe it's inspired by an artist that I'm not all that familiar with, and I just got to try them out just to kind of like get familiar with the sound and everything. But as you can see, people ask me all the time in these live streams, hey, have you heard of this? Have you heard of that? Have you heard of this other thing? And sometimes it's just no, so I definitely don't know everything, and I haven't heard everything, and I'm not like the most listening to music guy ever. I probably listened to a lot of music for my age, but sometimes a lot of that stuff is not necessarily the most historically relevant shit, because I just got to kind of keep up with what's recent and what's happening in the moment. Some recommendations for classic review: Cabaret Voltaire, Microphones, Sunny Day, Real Estate, Diary. That would be a good one. Sandy Bull, Fantasias for Guitar and Banjo, Big Star 3rd could be fun. Don't got any questions specific. Just want to let you know, just want to support. What's on your mind these days, Annie Fantani? Mostly just the Brett Kavanaugh bullshit. I just feel like the whole process is clearly being rushed because the Republicans, I'm not guaranteeing that a blue wave is coming, but they know that there is the potential for a blue wave. And if there is a blue wave, they're going to lose the opportunity to install Kavanaugh into the Senate, not into the Senate, into the SCOTUS. So as a result, they're just kind of rushing to get him the fuck through without really kind of doing their due diligence and letting the FBI do what they needed to do in order to make an educated decision. They don't give a fuck. They just want to push him through. And it's a little upsetting. It's kind of disheartening. I don't know why the fuck this slipped over to the side. That's ridiculous. How long has that fucking been like that? But yeah, that's kind of been on my mind. It's a little upsetting. So I got that one. My B, if you've already mentioned it, yes, I will be covering the new Logic. You just got to give me time. My Bloody Valentine or Slow Dive. My Bloody Valentine all fucking day. And that is going to be the last one that I take. I'm looking at the chat here. Someone says I'm a virgin. I wish you luck in the virginity. Hip hop about my virginity. What else is going on? Virginity. What are my favorite tapes from the mumble wave of rap? I'm not sure. Probably Little Boat. That Little Boat tape is still real nice. Am I a Protest the Hero fan? Not really. Gator. Smurf Curse. I have seen the new Joji song, but I'm going to talk about it in the new weekly track roundup. Rolla Tomasi, not huge into them, though they are good musicians, though. I don't really dig the clean vocal passages in their stuff, kind of a turnoff. Though that's not anything specific about them. That's kind of just a weird, trendy thing in a lot of modern alt-rock and metal that I just find to be really corny. I know about Knower, but I'm not that into it. Been a fan forever. Thanks a bunch. Thank you. Father Awful Swim. The Father record is okay. I just feel like his personality and his delivery is just way too one-dimensional and flat to be entertaining for an entire album. And that's it. That's really all you need to say. You know, some of his bars are funny. Some of the beats are quirky. But it's not dynamic at all. It's one of the most one-dimensional things you'll hear this year. Even if you do, like the personality of it. Even if it is a little quirkier than your average rap album. Daddy Shark do 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 do, Daddy Shark do 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 do, Daddy Shark do 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 do, Daddy Shark. Amir Van is better than Kevin. That's patently false. That's a lie. Yeah, Little Boat. I like the Little Boat tape. I've given it a positive review. Best Ja Rule album is no Ja Rule album. Ja Rule has not come out with one good album. Clarence Clarity, yes. Review Yandi. My Yandi review came out yesterday, guys. I don't know why you haven't seen it already. So many of you haven't seen the Yandi review yet. Periphery sucks. I wouldn't go that far, but I don't care for them. Bishop Nehru, he's okay. Why am I called Melonhead? Because people call me that. It's just their prerogative. Thoughts on M5 songs about Jane? Could it be potential classic review? I wouldn't say it's a classic review, honestly, at this point. Yeah, I don't really know much about how it compares or any of that stuff. Love you, Anthony. Thanks for doing I hope you're doing well. I'm okay. I'm doing okay. I'm okay. Do I like Getter? Not particularly, but respect to the guy. Respect to the man. Why do I wear sunglasses? Because I do these in the dark and for 2 hours, and the light off of the monitor gives me fucking eye strain. So the sunglasses kind of help with that a little bit. Not as good as the circle ones, though. I don't know where I put those. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. What's my opinion on Thursday? Honestly, Full Collapse is a top 20 emo album. Don't like Thursday. I think as far as emo bands go, they were just one of the more corny and mainstream ones that weren't really that interesting to me. Yeah, I don't think it's a top 20 emo album. But I guess that's just me. Sorry, Joshua Acosta. To me, Thursday isn't really that much better than a band like The Used. They're kind of like The Used if they made music that was, I guess, worth a little bit more taking seriously, but not that interesting. Top 5 noise rock bands? Oh, I don't know, off the top of my head. Melt Banana and Sonic Youth are certainly 2 of them. I don't know, but I'm going to leave it at that. All right, thank you guys. This has been a great live stream. Went a little overly long. I'm tired as fuck, but I have some other stuff to do before I get to bed, and I am going to go do my thing. Okay? You're the best, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. I will catch you guys in the next live stream forever.